pleasant aroma hits me long before I cross the threshold. Faint, but light and warm. A reminder of what home is. Pa's stern but commending gaze, Ma's tender smiles. The sunlight filtering through the eaves in the morning. And the distinct smell of cinnamon and vanilla as it drips through the air every time someone cooks from the room. The room. Our room. Ma and Pa's pride and joy. My sister and I, too, eventually. But we ain't allowed there. Not yet. Not until we're taller or older. Not until we learn how to take care of ourselves and not burn our hands or reach the cupboards without having to be lifted.
But a little peek wouldn't hurt, yeah?
Floorboards are cold under my feet more than it usually is. The walls more boding than what I'm used to. Farther and farther the room goes. Ma's singing ceases. And Pa...
No, please wait! I'll be good! I'll sleep on time!
Oh boy.
Don't go!
I can't hear Pa. Not above the raucous clanging and the deafening roars of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comfort in soft melodies. Oh. Pa was gunned down. I'm wondering if it's the cops. That's my first guess anyway. But we'll never know. Well, we will eventually, but we'll see. There's only the blinding fear. When my foot slips, the red sea that catches me is bitter and frigid. But the blood that drips from my hand is warm, warm, warm. Oh boy. And it ain't my blood. The walls tumble, and everything goes quiet. It takes a moment for everything to fall into place, for my eyes to adjust to the relative darkness in the room. Okay, let's take a look at the journal first and foremost. We have unlocked a new character, and that would be Zachary. Zachary, Zach Steele. He's born March 20th. He's a Pisces, and he's 31 years old. Okay, so he's the same age as Hannah. He's 6 foot. He's a freelance photographer. He's American. He's agnostic. Diploma in digital film. Cool. He likes pie, photography, and filmography, documentaries, cooking, acoustic guitar, and video games. Woot! Before his parents' death, he lived in New Jersey, where his family once owned a diner and a bakery. He and his older sister were orphaned due to a hate crime, and they were forced to move to England, where their grandparents lived. Aww. He had loved cooking and helped out with their old diner, but grew lazy and disinterested after the incident. It did not help that he was one of the few blacks in a predominantly white community at the time. Ugh. His passion for the visual arts was sparked when he found old Polaroids and home movies of his parents. Freelancing helped pay his bills, but the man had long set his sights on the indie film scene. It was during the creation of his first documentary that a robbery occurred, and Ashton was there to investigate. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time led Zachary being placed as a suspect. But the rookie detective helped him clear his name. Wow, yeah, no, he has definitely seen things. He has definitely seen things. And from what we learned about his documentary through Hannah, it is definitely a story he wants to tell. Even if it's not his personal story, it is something that he definitely wants to show the world. And that's cool. It kind of hits a little home. Like, I don't profess to have gone through the experiences that he's gone through, but living in here in Canada, let's just say his experiences are not unique, and that's sad. It takes a few moments for everything to fall into place, for my eyes to adjust to the relative darkness of the room. Despite the pleasant chill the AC brings, my shirt is clinging tightly to me, and my blanket a tangled mess around my throat. Morning has not even arrived, and yet...
Way too early for this thing, man.
And too long. too long since the last I've woken up drenched in my own sweat, head littered with thoughts that are gone as soon as my eyes open. All too often, only imprints and brief images are left to haunt me for the rest of the day, or until my mind forgets about it. Egad, whichever comes first. Yet, vivid or not, what little I can remember does not matter. Regardless, the depression sticks, clawing up, pushing, urging me to relive every moment, every sensation, and there's a twinkle in Ma's eye when she looks up from her work, flour dusted her nose and cheeks. The scent of freshly baked bread wafts from the oven as soon as Pa opens it, and the homely fragrance of honey pies fills the room. He reaches up to wipe the small beads of sweat away from his forehead before gesturing for me to come closer the moment he spots me on my little hiding place behind the door. I expected him to be angry, but his pat on my back when I come within his arm's reach is encouraging enough. We'll have to taste these first before we put them for sale tomorrow. You up for that, little man? Is that good enough? A knock cuts through the air before I can answer. A sharp, heavy, demanding, and familiar. So distantly familiar. Ma ushers me out of the kitchen when Pa moves to answer it. But I know what waits outside. The taste of blood in my mouth sends an unpleasant churning in my gut. Ma's apron crinkles under my tight grip. Something snaps back into place. My bed remains in an utter disarray. The walls still need a new paint job, and the wall clock ticking opposite my bed is as unsettling as ever. Ash is right. I should have already replaced that when I had the chance.
You're no longer there, Zachary. Here and there are miles apart. Calm down. Breathe.
PTSD, man. That is no joke. The pressure of my own fingers against my temple is a welcome sensation over the anxiety gripping me. I never really did anything to stave off the headache should it follow after this before, but it does ground me. A little reminder that I'm safe, away from the place I once called home, from Ma and Pa's. The urgency with each rap that follows finally chases away the ghosts threatening to hang around. Why anyone thinks it's a good idea to knock at someone else's door this late confuses me. Nana would chase them away with a broom if she were here. But no matter. It's a welcome break from the thoughts about to take a more of a turn if left festering. It's probably just Ash anyway, looking for a place to freeload or crash. Looking for a place to crash. Wonder of wonders why he's bothering with courtesy when he never did so before. Even with that hunch, though, habit compels me to check who it is first through the peephole. Smart. Never ever open the door unless you know who it is, folks. Better safe than sorry, they say. Except the person that greets me on the other side ain't him. Unless his hair grew longer overnight and he started wearing a ponytail. Of course, which I highly doubt will happen anytime soon, no matter how funny that looks in my head. I waste no time opening the latches.
Isabella, it's late.
There's something I can't quite pinpoint in her eyes when she looks up. Her face is pallid shade, shoulders tense, breathing heavy, and an uncontrollable shake in her hands as she's trying to hold back. Hide, if I don't know any better.
Hey, Zach. Sorry, I know it's weird for me to show up at this hour, but you are the closest to my office, and...
Oh, okay, so this is after the end of her chapter. Okay. I'm cool with this. Let's see what happens.
No. It's perfectly fine. I'm not really working on anything right now.
I was just sleeping. Or rather, waking up from a nightmare and calming myself down.
Do you want to come in?
Is it all right? I know you should be sleeping at this hour, but I thought... I'm sorry, I just thought... I have no idea why I went here. My feet just moved on their own after I got out of the office, and... Sorry.
She trails off, her voice lost in the muggy night air. I wait for her to say more, but instead her only response is a downward shift of her gaze, back to her still trembling hands as if the motion alone is enough of an explanation. A minuscule gesture, Easy to miss if one's not paying attention. But for someone who has seen the same expression in the mirror, done the same thing so many times when night terrors are inevitable, it is not.
Hey, don't worry about it. At least you not.
Right?
Ash just barges in and crashes on the couch whenever he feels like it.
Fucker.
I swear that guy is one fine hairline away from being a criminal.
Without waiting for her answer, I step away from the door and saunter over to the kitchenette. For a few good seconds, only the clinking of the plates can be heard above the constant tick-tock. Late as it might be for a snack, the familiar motions keeps me occupied, steering my mind away from dangerous thoughts. Isabella's company is not unwelcome either. Whatever her reasons for showing up here at such an hour, don't matter. I'll be damned if I just turn her away, frazzled as she is. The door clicks shut behind her when she finally enters, feet shuffling softly against the tiled floor. In all the years I've known her, she has never once lost her ever upbeat spirit. Yet in this particular moment, as she stands in my doorway, holding her arms close to herself, it's as if I'm looking at someone completely withdrawn from the person I've come to know all these years.
Do you want to drink or eat anything? I haven't restocked my food stash yet, so ingredients may be a bit limited. But I'm sure I can whip something up with what I have here.
Ever the gentleman. Zach's awesome.
Just water will do, please. Thanks, Zach.
What? No additional food requests? That's new. I'll put something together for you anyway. Hey, feel free to make yourself at home. You ain't exactly a new visitor here. Although my room's not at its most presentable right now. Sorry. New freelance gigs and such. Didn't have time to fix things up here lately.
It's okay. I don't mind.
Usually she'd have something more to say about that. A quip, a witty remark to provoke a laughter or two. None from her this time. Only a weak smile before she takes a seat on the couch, and a silence that stretches out until what we left hanging feels disconcerting. Before everything turns stifling and awkward, I continue talking, if only to keep the dead air at bay. How's one supposed to keep a conversation going when the person you're talking to is like this?
Anyway, gigs. Can you believe this one client we got? Boss had all my scheduled shoots shifted after they caught wind of this couple buying a new property. Man, must be nice to have all the money in the world.
That's probably not a topic that Isabella wants to talk about right now. That being said, you don't know, so.
World itself moves for you, huh?
She's curled up on one side of the couch and hugging her knees close when I bring the tray carrying the sandwiches and the water she requested. She starts to straighten up as I'm unloading the contents, but pauses as soon as I hold up my hand in a halting gesture.
You're a guest. Didn't I say you're free to make yourself at home?
He is so sweet. Okay, Zach so far is my favorite character. Not gonna lie.
Here's your water. Careful.
The tremor in her hands, though lighter now, still hasn't subsided when she reaches out for the glass. I give her a questioning look, but she's quick to avert her eyes, keeping herself occupied by taking small gulps of water. Or maybe she just doesn't want me asking questions. Worrying. This sudden loss for words, this bout of quiet not normally present in our chats. Even the creaking of the old chair when I casually take the seat is a welcome break. Although the company's familiar, this has gone way past unnerving.
What happened? Overtime at work?
She doesn't answer immediately. Another gulp drains her glass of its remaining contents. One would think it'd be enough to help her recover, yet she doesn't lose her taut grip on the glass as she cradles it on her lap. Her eyes take an unfocused gaze when she speaks again.
Yeah. Boss handed me extra work today. After what happened. To Rose.
Yeah.
Rose. Why do I feel like you've mentioned her before?
Because she was her mentor.
Sorry, I'm better with remembering faces than names.
And that's fair.
She was my coworker. That will take some getting used to. I was just talking to her the other day.
Was? Did she resign or something? I think I'm missing a few details here, Bella.
You've never met her. I think I did mention her once or twice. It doesn't matter. You probably heard her name recently from the news than me.
Yeah. Something clicks then. A little memory from the night before. The bright red light from the dark room, the strong odor of the stop bath, the television's barely audible murmur in the background, and a glimpse of a bloody room. The news is everywhere, even in the morning that follows. I just didn't think its effects would strike someone this close to me.
Oh, damn. I didn't mean to bring that up.
No, like I said, it'll take some getting used to, but it'll get better. I hope it will. Things might become a little busier for me, though.
Yeah, she's got to take up that extra workload.
She left a lot of things unfinished, and I'm one of the few people in the office who knows how she works. Boss thinks the transition will be easier if I handle it.
That explains it. Well, just don't forget you still need rest. Even the most hard-working people I know don't keep hours as late as this. Hell, the subway stopped running hours ago. Crime rate might be lower here than most places, but that doesn't mean you can walk around freely in the middle of the night.
It's just for today.
Still a good thing you dropped by here first. I'm not just about to let you walk out here alone, especially not in the middle of the night.
So I guess she's crashing.
Who knows what else could happen? I'm not saying you should go right now, but I could accompany you home if you...
No! Wait, please!
The vehement tension in her voice makes me pause. And as in this instant, the mask she's been keeping up falls apart. Only for a short while. Right then and there, I understood what's hiding her behind her unfocused stare from the moment she arrived. Fear. Pure, unadulterated fear. It's disturbing to see such mar in her usual upbeat countenance. With a sigh, I cross the small distance separating us and kneel in front of her. She doesn't flinch when I do so. However, the way she appears to make herself smaller against the couch is telling enough.
Bella, this ain't just about your coworker, is it? What is it really about? I'm all ears.
The sound of glass shattering rents through the air as soon as her hold on it loosens. In the span of a few seconds, her breathing grows labored.
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
She claps her hands over her ears, pressing it tightly against the side of her head. Her voice grows weaker with each word, each plea coming out of her mouth.
Please don't leave me alone. I don't want to be alone right now.
Fair.
I can't shake it off. Everywhere's not safe and...
All right, Isabella. Look at me. Look at me.
My hands are firm on her shoulder when I pull her up to look at me. It takes every force of will to ignore the terror in her eyes in favor of taking control of the situation. Too close. Too similar.
Breathe. Breathe. You're safe here. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Stay in the present. I'm here. No one's gonna hurt you. Do you want to talk about it?
The force with which she shakes her head is enough reason to drop the topic altogether.
No more. Please. No more. I don't want to remember anymore.
Kate, no more talking. I won't ask anymore. Can I get you anything? Another glass of water? I think I have a tub of that pistachio ice cream you love so much.
Aww.
We're gonna have to clean this mess first. Will you be fine on your own for a little while?
She nods lightly before retreating into herself again. No more words are exchanged after that, and I take that as my cue to start cleaning the shards littering the floor before either of us get hurt. The quiet hum of the AC is a pleasant distraction as I go over the menial task. More so than her ragged draws of breath or my feeble little attempts to tell a quick story or two. But the latter does the trick, and soon enough she's already drifted off by the time I return with the promised glass of water, her chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm, the strain of her shoulders gone. Frankly, I ain't never seen her this still. She mumbles something I don't quite catch when I carry her to the empty bed, and hugs herself tighter against the mess of blankets. In spite of the fact that she appears relaxed, the small frown on her face hasn't quite disappeared. Whatever happened to her won't be leaving her any time soon. But for her sake, I hope it won't stay long with her. There are still questions left to be answered. But the late hour, coupled with the sudden exhaustion, made my old couch a more comfortable bed than it typically is. Darkness immediately welcomes me as soon as my head hits my makeshift pillow. Okay, let's see. Frightened Isabella Santos knocks on Zachary Steele's apartment in the middle of the night. Shaken, she refuses to say what happened. Zachary lets her stay regardless. I can only wish the dreams will keep at distance for now. For both of us. The first few notes, while muffled, are enough to wake me. In the end, it becomes one of those nights when sleep passes like a blink and is plagued with vague, fuzzy thoughts. I lift a hand to rub away the drowsiness from my eyes, although it does little to relieve the gritty, burning sensation from my eyelids. Outside, the sun is yet to peek over the horizon, but night has already given way to a cool morning, washing everything in subtle gray hues. At this hour, the entire city remains in stirring. Ordinarily, waking up before my own alarm means abusing the snooze button, twice or thrice just to catch those precious few extra minutes of sleep. But the persistent ringing makes it impossible now.
This better be good.
Groggily, I scramble for the bag sitting at the foot of the bed. The ringing still hasn't stopped, even as I fish the phone out, and Ashton's name flashes brightly on the screen when I turn it on. Must be pretty urgent if he ain't dropped the call yet.
Took you long enough, Z-Man.
Ashton, it's 6 in the morning. The sun hasn't even risen. Hell, my brain ain't even awake yet. Stop calling me Z-Man.
It's 20 past 6, Zach.
Semantics. It's too early, is the point.
You want to talk? Give me back my 5 extra minutes, Ash. I want my sleep.
Hey, don't make fun of me. I can be a more person too if I want to.
Uh-huh. Why are you waking me up so damn early?
What's this all really about? You don't usually make calls around this hour. Is the world ending today?
Sorry about that. Becca rang me up a few minutes ago looking for Isabella. Said she didn't show up in her own apartment last night. We both tried calling, but her phone seems to be off.
Oh yeah, she crashed in my place, dude. She was not looking good. Do not. Do you have any idea where...
I should have known you two would come looking for her first thing in the morning.
Not a laughing matter, Zach. You can't really let your guard down with everything that's happened here recently. You've heard about the Cooper woman from the news. Everyone in the precinct has been restless ever since the incident the other day.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Listen, Ash, about Bella.
I let my voice trail off, unsure of how to go about recounting last night. If I should even say anything to him. He might be a close friend, but at the end of the day, whatever's bothering her ain't mine to speak of in the first place. On the bed, Isabella remains as still as when I transferred her the night before. Sometime during her sleep, she pulls out the blanket over herself and tucked it into it comfortably. Like this, it's easy to forget the horror in her eyes or how much her hands and lips trembled. Save for her firm grip on the edge of the covers, she appears nearly as normal as she would any other day. Almost.
I'm not really sure how to go about this while being...
Zach, what about her?
Something. The worry, the concern, must have surfaced in my tone because his own shifts then. Carefully, as if he's preparing for the worst.
Look, you don't have to worry about her. She's with me right now. Since last night, in fact.
Oh, why didn't you just say so earlier?
She kind of knocked in the middle of the night. I couldn't possibly wake you two over that. And with how things are when she arrived, I thought it'd be best if I let her rest first. I just wasn't expecting people would be looking for her before the rooster even crows.
You could have at least called her something. Becca's beside herself with worry when she found out. You know how much she frets about the smallest stuff.
I know. I'm sorry. That was a lapse on my part. And I just didn't think, okay, you know what? Rebecca's worries ain't completely baseless. Isabella hasn't been her usual self since the movie. Maybe even before that. I don't know if I should be opening my mouth about this, but Bella didn't outright say I shouldn't, so...
So something's wrong then?
Kinda?
I'm not quite sure, to be completely honest. I couldn't get the story out of her.
Really? I thought you'd learned something from me by now.
Oh, shut up. We can't all be detectives.
That's not it. Ash, when she appeared at my doorstep last night, she was shaking, and when I tried to ask her about it, she just panicked. Had this frightened look on her face. I'd be surprised if this was the first time I've seen it, but it ain't. Dude, the first time, she was screaming.
Yeah, he's gonna tell him about the lunch date that they had, and Bella screaming at the face in the window.
First time? When was this? You weren't talking about the thing in the movie house, are you? Because that was just us fooling around. Granted, I think I went overboard with the joke, but...
No, it happened the day after. When she invited us to lunch, you weren't there.
Yeah, you didn't answer your damn phone.
We were walking 1 second, and then the next, she's crying out. I'll be straight with you. That scared me shitless.
Bothered him with the way he falls silent after his telling. But whatever his opinion, it stays absent from his voice when he speaks again. He's always been good with that, hiding what he thinks.
Did she say anything else?
Nope.
Nothing. Won't tell me anything aside from a few vague words. I didn't want to push it.
Where is she? Is she still sleeping?
Yep, my place.
Right here with me, still sleeping. Should I wake her up or something? Let her know you guys are looking for her?
No need. Let her rest. I'll drop by in a few.
Oh. Well, at least you're giving me advance notice.
Today? Don't you have work at this time? I mean, I can drop her off home myself before meeting my client later.
Look who's talking.
My schedule's flexible, Ash. Last time I checked, you're the one who didn't have that luxury. How on earth do you think I'm able to tag along when you need me?
Right?
It's not completely out of the way.
They live on the other side of the town from you, Ash. Your definition of out of the way is a little screwed up, you know.
It's fine. I have some things I need to do anyway.
He's making excuses. He wants to come check her.
I'll call you back. I've got to let Becca know that Scared Cat's fine. Bye.
Drops the call before I can even get a word in. And for several minutes after, I find myself simply listening as the rest of Luxborn rouses. The increasing sound of passing traffic, the bustle of the nearby shops preparing for the day, and the growing clamor of the people while they go about their morning. Not the most soothing sounds to hear following a troubled night, but the routine puts me at ease nevertheless. What's comforting, what's safe, what I'm used to. Nearby, Isabella shifts but doesn't wake, blissfully unaware as the city slowly stirs itself back to life. Was her night as restless as the one I had? Were her dreams as lucid? In hushed moments like this, I envy her. Unreasonable, probably a little unfair, to say such in light of last night. If only forgetting is as easy as breathing. A small yawn escapes me when I rise from the couch to stretch. Luckily, the short conversation with Ash has effectively driven away any will to go back to bed. I still have a day to get through despite the proverbial ghost hanging around. The orange bottle sitting at the edge of my table is reassuring against my palm as I instantly pick it up. The sterile odor of capsules equally so. Yet the weight they carry is something I've never gotten used to. Years ago, I'd spent minutes, hell, even hours staring at a single pill prior to taking one in. Now it's just routine. A way to stave off the unwanted nightly visits. Although, I don't think Dr. Navarro will be quite pleased if he finds I don't relying on him again. I do owe him a visit regardless, especially after missing our appointments on purpose and ignoring its call for weeks. Another sigh comes out, tired and weary, and then I pop the tablet into my mouth.
Zach? What time is it?
The bottle in my hand hits the table with more force than necessary. As much as I trust my friends, there's some things I'd rather keep to myself.
Morning, Bella. Did you sleep well?
She answers the question with a long, drawn-out yawn. One reminiscent of a child. A chuckle manages to come out of my mouth at the sight. In this manner, it's easy to mistake her for someone too young for responsibilities. Inexperienced and immature, even. Easy to forget she was thrust into the role of an adult earlier than her own dreams can afford. To overlook how surprisingly observant she can be at times. Maybe not on the same level Ash exercises for his investigations or Rebecca needs for her own work. But it's certainly enough to deftly put what she sees around her on canvas. And if the way her eyes flicker to the table in my hand say something, it is that I won't be able to avoid the questions this time.
Only a little. I don't remember how I ended up on the bed, though.
Oh yeah, I put you there. Don't worry. I slept on the couch.
My doing. You didn't look very comfortable sleeping on the couch, all hunched up like that.
It would have been enough for something temporary. Sorry I stole your bed.
Nah, I gave you the bed. It's fine.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Besides, what kind of gentleman would I be if I leave a lady sleeping in such uncomfortable conditions? Not in this house. My nana will give me a tough scolding if I ever did that, I'm telling you.
Thanks a lot, Zach. I know I barged in at a very inconvenient time last night. I wasn't really thinking when I did, and...
Hey, it's cool, Bella. I ain't mad at you. That's what friends do. You guys are welcome here anytime. Although Ashton abuses the anytime part a lot, I don't really mind. We might have less wiggle room if all four of us are present, considering the size of this place. But as long as no one makes anything explode, it's totally fine.
Fine or not, I still owe you one for last night's trouble, especially since you don't seem to be...
A concerned expression passes over her features as she spares another cursory glance over the table back to the bottle holding every small piece of what keeps the bad memories at bay. The blood blooming over Pa's heart, the horrified look on Mama's face as she watches him fall lifeless to the ground, and every ounce of spite seeping from the stranger's smile. You don't belong here. You monkeys don't belong here. Wow! It never stops, does it?
Well, you don't seem to be feeling well. Let me know, okay? I'll make it up to you somehow.
She makes a slight gesture with her head towards the bottle, asking a question without really asking. Subtlety's never been one of her greatest assets, but right now, even Ash would have been a little amazed, if not at loss for words, I'd add. She's left it up to me whether I'll give her the response she wants to hear or not. A little clever coming from her, if anyone would ask me. I mean, on the one hand, it is very personal. But on the other hand, he's wanting her to confide in him, too. You know what? Well, we're going to tell her the truth. So maybe if we're willing to open up to her, she'll be able to open up to us a little bit. But it ain't never easy, ain't it? Talking about my own problems, that is. And Isabella went up a little bit. Hannah's already a little up there. Mariana, he doesn't know. Rebecca, Ashton, and Luke, of course. And of course, there's Zach here. Got a picture of him here. There we go. It will never be. Not by a long shot. Not when I've let it stay this way for so long. I realized that long ago, when the wounds are still fresh and the dreams are nightly currents. Can't force yourself to get better or move on to better things. It is what's normal now, and I can only cope. The question in her eyes may be unwarranted, born simply out of curiosity and sincere concern for her friend. I don't know her an explanation, in fact. But of all the people I keep close in my life, she's probably one of the very few who perhaps I can trust with this. Maybe she won't understand entirely. I can never hope she will. No, never to the full extent. That alone is expecting too much of her, and giving too much of what I can. However, for all her shortcomings, I know she'll hear me out. And that's all I can ask of her.
My bad. I was kind of hoping you wouldn't have seen me with these.
Pills rattle lightly against the container when I gently set it back to its usual place. Always the small area closest to my laptop near the right hand. Within reach whenever, and a quiet reminder of what I shouldn't miss every day.
What? Oh, is it bad? I was just thinking that maybe it's a cold like Becca's. Do you need me to get anything from the store? Soup or something? There's one nearby, right? I can run real quick and...
No, nothing of that sort. I'm perfectly healthy right now. It's really difficult to say, but can you promise me you'll listen at least?
What is this about, Zach?
I should have been upfront with you about this a long time ago. Well, Ashton found out without me telling him anything. But you already know how that guy is. Can't hide anything from him.
If it's something you're having trouble saying, you don't have to force yourself to tell me. I'll forget I ever saw anything and won't ask questions. Promise.
No, I need to get this off my chest eventually.
Right.
Besides, we're already here. Might as well finish what I started, yeah?
If you say so.
She takes a seat on the couch, her posture easy and open, and her smile honest. As if this is just a simple talk between two friends on a regular day. It is far from one, but her unreserved air is enough to stamp down the twinge of unease that threatens to come up.
Let's hear it then.
As she does. True to her words, she listens while the story spills out my mouth. Of my pa and ma, that little old diner across the pond, and what it left in me that day. Can't recall most of it now, my own accord jagged with a few missing details here and there. Past years have eroded most of my recollection of the whole incident, all except for that one moment in the kitchen. The ringing of gunshots are as vivid as it sounded that day. Even Ma's hysterical screams the moment Pop's body's hit the floor, motionless, his lifeblood flowing out from under him. And the gunman, he was smiling. He was smiling when Papa opened the door to welcome him. He was smiling when he pulled a bullet from Pa's chest and Ma's head. I've heard stories about how the world can be a cruel place for people like us before. I never believed it until that moment.
Nan and Gran took us right after that. Sis and I flew straight to New Jersey as soon as they heard the news. A few days after, Ma and Pa were laid to rest. And we have a new home a continent away. I didn't even get the chance to take my favorite pillow with me. They said something about the change of environment will be good for us. They had no idea the different kind of ghosts would follow me here.
I expected questions. Mostly those brimming with childlike curiosity, and maybe some that are a little too hard to answer. But to her credit, she just sat there, lent her ears, looked at me with no expectations or unnecessary judgment in her eyes. She appears wiser and older like this, easier to see the breadwinner in her. Her younger siblings are lucky to have her. When I'm done, after everything's been said, she wraps her arms around me. Bit awkward considering the gap in our heights, but it gets her sentiment across. But it's difficult to answer this in kind. If I'm even supposed to reciprocate the gesture, given my earlier apprehension. She pulls away shortly with a smile on her face. Not the reaction I braced myself for, but it is obviously better than what I imagined.
Are you not gonna say anything?
Am I supposed to say anything after? Like, apologize or something? I don't think that's very appropriate, but if you want to hear one, I can think of something real quick.
Bless you, girl.
Not really. Other people have something to say after usually. And they're not necessarily nice either.
Just, you should tough it up. Get over it. Stupid shit like that.
Oh, okay then. I won't. I can't think of something anyway. Sorry, I'm not very good with this. Who else knows, by the way?
My older sister, grandparents, and just Ash and you for now. Maybe I think I should tell Rebecca too, but...
Not until you're ready, dude.
But not right now?
Yeah, not right now. But I'm ready. Like today.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll be willing to hear you out once you do.
I don't doubt she will. I'm more afraid of how she'll react after. One step at a time, yeah? Whew! Surprisingly, it feels good to get that one out my chest. I was a little afraid you'd be angrier. I didn't tell you earlier than today.
Aw.
I'm not angry. I'm just surprised. You didn't look like it. I wouldn't have suspected. I suppose that's how it often is, isn't it? We all have our... what's the word Becca uses? Inner demons? But this is something personal to you. I understand why you'd rather have a few people know.
Yeah.
That too. Well, these past few weeks haven't been easy for you. I didn't want to add that. Not after last night.
Right? Sun passes on her face. Brief, fleeting, disappears right before I can recognize what it is.
You okay?
Yep, no worries. I'll be fine. Look, about last night, never mind. This isn't a good time. But don't lose sleep over this, alright? What's important is you got what you want to say out. And if you need me, I'll be here.
Ash should be relieved. Her words are more than reassuring to my ears. There should be comfort in hearing those alone, in knowing I have another person to rely on when things ever go bad. But somehow, I find myself worrying more for her instead. I'll make another attempt to get the story out of her if I can. But this is a dance I know all too well, and with her, I doubt forcing her to say something would yield any results. As much as I want to imitate Ash, there's only so much I can ask that won't result in something a little over disastrous. Best she'll stop talking to me until the week passes. The worst? Well, I'd rather not risk it. Never seen her angry. Outright annoyed, maybe, and often directed at Ash, but never furious. What did they say again about happiest people when angered? Besides, it'd be unfair to her after our little chat.
So, food then?
She seemed relieved at the brisk change of subject. And as if it was simply waiting for its cue all this time, her stomach rumbles at the mention of food. Rather loudly, as a matter of fact.
Alrighty, Missy. We're going to get some chow now. Better be quick, though. Can't have your stomach starting a revolution on us here.
Don't make fun of me. I'm not that hungry. Maybe a little. I didn't think I'd end up skipping dinner last night.
And now we have one starved stomach protesting. Sorry, it'll be nothing fancy, since I'm a little low on stocks. I should probably drop by the grocery store after the meeting this afternoon.
I can make a quick run for you if you want.
Nah, I've got enough to put together something nice here. Maybe. I could always improvise if we're missing an ingredient or two. It ain't like we're going for a Michelin 3-star status here. Also, didn't I say you're a guest? Is this a Filipino thing? Or just Rebecca rubbing off on you?
The soft laughter that comes from her doesn't quite reach her eyes. Neither. The answer is neither. Because if she stays idle, she'll remember.
On second thought, I might need a little help slicing up the potatoes while I prep the ham. You up for that?
I want potatoes.
What? Do you think instant noodles are all I'm about? I'll have you know I can cook a mean paella with my eyes closed. All my siblings love it.
Sure you can. Come on. I think I know what we'll do with those spare ingredients.
Despite the massive effort to keep the mood light, with small chatter, cooking ends up being a mostly quiet affair. Between us, the constant clapping of the knife against the board and the muffled noise from the television I left running words had become surprisingly difficult to string together. Let's see what it says here. Morning comes. Zachary receives a phone call from Ashton, who is looking for Isabella. Zachary informs him that she stayed over of the circumstances before ending the call. Ashton offered to pick her up. Isabella saw Zachary taking an unknown medication and, concerned, asked for what it was. He's admitted he's suffering from a trauma ever since his parents were killed in a hate crime. Isabella could only offer him a comforting hug. To lighten the mood, the two decided to cook breakfast afterwards. Nice. Not entirely unusual. We've had moments like this before, but definitely unnerving with how things are now. I really wish someone else would come knocking on that door. As pleasant as this is, breaking the ice and keeping conversation going has never been my forte. That's always been Isabella or Rebecca's department. Sometimes Ashton's, although most coming from him bordering on awkward or embarrassing. Speaking of the guy, he never did call me back. I'm willing to bet my entire yearly salary that he fell right back to sleep after that call. Nope, he is at the door.
Sorry, Bella, could you...
Yep, I got it. The potatoes are almost ready, by the way. I turned down the heat just in case. You might want to check on them, though. Hold on, I'll be right there. Sheesh, wait up. If you keep rapping at the door like that, you'll break it down. Ash.
Oh, good. You're awake.
Ash has already welcomed himself in when I take my eyes away from the oven. He's never really been keen with the notion of courtesies after he's warmed up to you, this guy. All 13 of my locks he broke can attest to that. Wow! He's a good fellow, though. Maybe a tad bit standoffish at first glance, but he's trustworthy.
Don't you have work today?
I could ask the same of you. Hey, Izzy, man.
Don't call me that. I just told you not to call me that this morning.
You're late. Something came up? You need to drop the Z-Man. It's getting old.
Sorry, I got caught up with something at the precinct on the way here. Had to attend to that first before things got out of hand. I'd tell you about it, but you know how it can be with those kinds of things. Later, maybe.
And you're here because...
Checking on you.
What? I'm not allowed to say hello?
I doubt you're here because of that. And you're not answering my question.
My bad. Forgot to mention that. He called earlier looking for you. Rebecca's worried because you didn't come home last night.
You could have called my cell instead.
He tried.
You weren't picking up. Anyway, I'd really hate to cut this little get-together short, but I need to be somewhere else. Come on, Isabella, let's get you home. I'll drop you off on the way.
But the food! The food!
Wait, we're going now?
He lightly claps a hand on her arm and begins ushering her out the apartment, throwing a casual wave at me as they pass. Isabella, on the other hand, doesn't appear too fond of the idea. And sure enough, before they can even cross the threshold, she puts a firm foot down, force alone enough to halt them both and catch the taller man off guard. It would have made for a funny picture. The way Ash almost crashed into her and Isabella giving him an indignant pout over her shoulder. Surprise and confusion are on his face all at once. Two things that rarely ever grace it if he can help it. A rare moment even for a small group. If only I had my camera with me. Dang.
What is it?
Zach cooked something.
If it's just food, I'll get you something on the way back.
But the food! It's Zach's cooking. Real delicious food that actually tastes like food. At least stay and have a bite, please.
Yeah, come on, Ash. Don't be an ass.
Zach, help me here.
Oh, boy. These two. Whenever they're in the same room, sometimes it feels like herding a group of unruly kids instead of talking to two mature adults. One moment they're engaged in a pleasant chit-chat, and the next they're bickering over a minor issue. Frankly, if I didn't know any better, and I have an overactive imagination, I'd say there's something going on. There is. There is definitely something going on. Never mind how utterly impossible that idea is. How is it impossible? Or it might just be me reading too much into things like always. I can already hear Ash's laughter if I so much as suggest as such. This, however... Yeah, I cooked up a feast, guys. Come on, let's eat.
I don't know about you two, but I think you guys should really stay. I've already made enough food for all of us, and it'd be a waste.
Yep. That was the right answer. Sweet.
Why, I cooked up that special honey-glazed ham you two keep on yapping about. Got some scalloped potatoes with onions and cheddar to go with it, too.
Yeah. The oven timer dinks. Beautiful timing. I shoot the two of them an apologetic look before sauntering over to the kitchen, mittens in hand. The sweet smell of the glaze and salty tang of melted cheese wafts through the air as soon as I open the door and take out the two trays inside. The scent immediately fills the entire room, and even with the door and windows open, the mouth-watering aroma lingers. It's appealing enough that when I put the dishes down on the counter, another starved stomach protests loudly, followed by a burst of laughter. My head snaps up at the two of them. They can't keep back the smile at the sight they make. Isabella's clinging to the doorframe for support, doubled over with breathless laughter. Ash is the more composed of the two, trying to look unconcerned, but a flush has crept up his neck and cheeks. It's clear whose stomach that came from. And Isabella's not going to let him live this down.
You're in no place to reject an offer of free food, Frey.
Right? I mean, you always crash here, so might as well eat.
I wasn't rejecting anything.
Yeah, you were. Let's go. I'll get you something on the way. That sounds like a rejection to me.
Damn it, I just missed a meal, that's all.
Yeah, well, here you can make up for it. Sit down and eat.
Aw, he's flustered.
Aw.
Shut it! Those guys at the precinct said it was urgent. Somebody has to be responsible for it.
Yeah, well, now I'm feeding a cop. Sit down and eat.
Well, aren't you precious?
Right. You know, if you keep laughing like that, you'll burst.
I'm sure it won't be as bad as your stomach suddenly rumbling like a starved.
Aye, kiddos, play nice. Food's gonna get cold if we keep this up.
Right?
Ash, you gonna stay?
Might as well, since Scaredy Cat's so hell-bent on staying.
We eventually settle down after the food's been served. Ah, hearty meal, nice. The jibes replaced by another round of friendly chatter, mostly about what's on the news the night before. There is, however, a conscious effort to avoid mentioning what's currently in the headlines. Yeah, it makes sense. The dead is never a good topic to talk over food and polite company. This case in particular. The wounds are too fresh, too soon. I'd likely avoid it as well if I were in her position, as somebody I personally knew passed away in a gruesome manner like that. Though perhaps the closest we got to broaching the topic is when the infamous mansion was brought up again. But even then, we are careful, Ash and I. We keep the conversation light and avoid bringing up her late business partner. That's the least we can do.
The Wrights? Yeah, they're planning to move in soon. In fact, they already have a housewarming party planned.
Yeah, they do.
It's why they wanted us to rush the papers. They wanted to send the invitations out as soon as possible.
Oh, now I get it.
Get what?
Remember what I told you last night about the new clients?
Vaguely? Sorry, I was a little out of it yesterday. Was it the photo shoot?
Yep, it's actually for the one you sold. Something. When you put it that way, I suppose it makes sense why my boss wants me to prioritize the couple.
Yeah.
They can have those documents rushed at just a snap of their fingers. Then they're more influential than I initially thought. And I guess my boss is expecting a lot more from this project than I expected. Hope I can live up to it.
Your photographs are more than good enough, Zach. You'd probably win an international award if you let yourself. Ma'am Hana's easy to please, too. As long as you're good at following instructions.
Easier said than done. Different clients have different tastes, after all.
Very true.
Still, a week? I don't think that's possible.
Now that you mentioned it, yeah. They wanted everything finished at the earliest. To be honest, it's not unheard of, but...
But it's still weird. Still weird, yeah?
Slip of the tongue. Still barely noticeable to someone who's already familiar with Ash's ways. Yet in this moment, it's impossible to miss. He doesn't want to say fishy for some reason. Okay. I shoot him a curious glance, but he ignores it. Rather pointedly.
I can't exactly say it's like that, where I'm just the middleman after all. As much as I want to comment on it, I only know what's on the surface, not the in and outs.
Fair.
It's just that BRC and my boss are more hands-on with the legal stuff this time, despite having a separate department dedicated to it.
Maybe Mr. Wright helped with it too. They have their own legal team for this, don't they?
Well, they should have one. Especially for a big property like this.
They have, but like I said, it's off our hands. Rose and I don't handle this stuff in the office. If anything, to me, this just means I'll be able to send the rest of the funds to Papa's treatment earlier.
I guess that makes a whole lot of sense. Officially off our instant noodle diet, aren't we?
For now.
Ash, has anyone ever told you that you have an uncanny way of ruining the mood?
What? I was just saying. A few more months of stuffing your face with those, and I'm sure you'll start to look like a noodle cup.
Rude.
That's a pretty picture.
At least I don't live off convenience store food. Or make poor, unassuming pressure cookers explode.
Oh.
What? How did you...
Oh!
Oh, come on, Zach.
Sorry, it just came up while we were cooking earlier.
I'm impressed, Ashton Frey. You even made it to the news.
A one-time thing. And it wasn't as big as you seem to be imagining.
Oh, sure. Let's all pretend that one time you almost set my apartment on fire didn't happen too.
Whoops.
Hey, that was an accident.
So he has no aptitude in cooking. Cool.
You were making a salad, Ash.
Ah! How do you set fire to an apartment by making a salad?
Can we please move on to a different topic?
Sure, but I mean, that is a feat and a half. It helps. Casual talk, the harmless teasing, the mundane stories interesting enough to let time pass unnoticed. By the time lunch ends, the shadows are no longer at forefront of my mind. If it's the same for Isabella, for whatever troubles her, I can never tell. These things, the anxiety, the fear, they ain't easily seen, ain't easily forgotten after all.
You go on ahead. I've got a few things I need to ask Zach. I'll be downstairs in a minute.
Confusion briefly flashes in her eyes as she catches the keys he tosses over, but he doesn't give her an answer and waves for her to go on ahead.
How sure are you I won't be driving away with your Shirley?
You don't even have a license. Do you even know how to?
Papa taught me how. I'm probably a better driver than you. See you later, Zach. Thanks for the food.
Always has to have the last word, don't you?
You're welcome. I'll send you the recipe for the potatoes tonight.
A grin is back on her face as she leaves and closes the door behind her. For a little while after we're left alone, Ash goes wholly quiet, listening, waiting for her remaining footsteps in the hall to fade. The earlier amusement's gone from his face, replaced by what I can only describe as trepidation. I know that look all too well. When he's like this, he's expecting shit to go down at some point soon.
That wasn't very nice, Ash. What was that with Isabella earlier? You're usually subtler with your questions.
They hired you.
Hired me who? Don't change the subject yet. What's really going on here?
The Wrights. Luke and Hannah Wright. You said your next gig is with them.
Yeah, and?
Is that what this is all about?
Just be careful around them. You have no idea what you're dealing with when it comes to that couple.
Okay. Care to enlighten me?
I'd rather you stay as far away from them as possible, but you're already here. Isabella's their real estate agent. Seriously, of all the people in Luxburn.
Okay. I guess I'll just have to take your word for it.
He nods, claps a comforting hand on my back, and turns to leave without another word. He's never been good with those. More often he fumbles with what he wants to say, but his actions alone are enough to tell me how grateful he is for the trust. He reaches for the knob as soon as he gets to the door, but he doesn't turn it. Instead, he looks back and gestures with his head towards the table. I don't need to follow his line of sight to know that he's about to ask. He's likely taken notice of it the moment he entered the room.
You back on those? I haven't seen you taking them in a year.
Yeah, I kinda had to. It got worse after the film fest. The dreams, that is. I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon.
Yeah, definitely the subject matter.
Heard about that. Don't drop it, though. You don't want Becca scolding you. She actually enjoyed the movie you made, and she's hard to please. Consider that a small victory.
You don't have to tell me. She already did.
Yep.
Rebecca and Bella both gave me an earful after I said the opposite. Promised them I wouldn't, but you can never tell. Hopefully, once I feel better, I'll be able to think about it properly. Speaking of Bella, she didn't open up to me, but maybe with you and Rebecca.
Yeah, I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to her.
Thanks. That's all I'm asking.
This time, when he reaches for the door, he lets it close fully behind him without glancing back. A mild draft seeps into the room as I close the door behind him, slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. A lone note flutters by my feet, the letters on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Ermengarde Mansion, H. Wright, 11 a.m. After Ashton's warnings, they all hold a different meaning now. The next two... Okay, he's still humming, so whatever. The next 2 days rush by in a blur altogether, leaving a collective mess of work suddenly piling up and new unexpected acquaintances. Or friends. Depending on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 in the morning to reach a deadline set by an over-eager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius is good, has vision, and knows what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic sometimes.
Doesn't matter when you couldn't sleep anyway.
I guess, yeah. There's nothing new in it, of course. After years of working out as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I've grown used to. Get to know people, build a client base, do good work, and cash in some late hours if need be. Rinse and repeat. It certainly takes a while to get some footing on the field, but it's the kind of thing that pays off in the long run as long as you keep at it. Given enough time, you might end up with big names on your client list. Names like the Wrights, in particular. Never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible not to hear about them when a local news channel or paper has something to say on their name. Party here, an acquisition there. Sometimes it's a new business venture. Other times it's the everyday gossip that typically follows popular people like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working for such a high-profile couple. And between that and the fuss that comes with, leaves me no time to ponder over whatever happened to Isabella or why Ash is so adamant we keep from the pair.
They do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Sure, there was a rumor running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal. But just like every gossip blown out of proportion by the media, nothing came of it, and eventually it simply died down. Well, if you throw enough money at the problem. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband, but I don't doubt a woman like Miss Wright would pick him if he doesn't have any good points at all. I love how he calls her just Miss Wright, not Mrs. Wright, given the fact she's married to him. Miss Wright. Hannah herself, though. She ain't particularly bad the way the press makes her out to be. Tabloid had it all wrong, that's for sure. Okay, hang on, what's it say here? Isabella saw Zach, blah, blah, blah. Ashton arrived to fetch Isabella hours later, but she didn't want to leave after all the food they prepared. In the end, Ashton acquiesced and stayed. The Wrights and Zach's upcoming gig were the few topics touched during their talks over breakfast. Okay, so they said 2 days later, and it's not discovered. Okay, it's fine. Someone born with a silver spoon in her mouth? Well, she ain't exactly what I was expecting. Among other things, the newfound friendship is what I least expected from her. But here we are. Although with a life as public as the Wrights, no wonder it's the woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. Can't help but feel sorry for her. She's a real nice person when given the chance. Heck, she might have even ended up friends with Rebecca and Isabella too, if they weren't living worlds apart. Probably. The beat quickly pulls me back before my thoughts travel any further. In one practice motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on a drying rack and amble over to my makeshift darkroom to get the last photos from the water bath. Inside the converted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft clank before going on in standby mode. At its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely visible with the lack of light. It's the last one tonight, for the set Miss Wright requested. I don't usually make this a habit, giving away stuff, that is. It's bad for the business, no matter how well-intentioned or generous you are. This exception, however. She did treat me well, and was a pleasant companion all through the shoot. Okay, so I'm thinking that those beeps, they take into account your choices as Hannah in the previous chapter. Whether you flirted with her or made him uncomfortable, that sort of thing. I think it's taking that into account, or consideration rather. Even if she didn't ask, I probably would have given her a few prints just for the hell of it. Miss Wright ain't such a bad subject matter to begin with. And maybe this is just me, but for someone who has everything at the palm of her hands, all the money in the world, a loving husband, and a plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. She doesn't just appear like it. It shows in the tone of her voice, how she moves, and most certainly in her smiles. It's always hidden behind the glamour of the world to never see. Sometimes for people like her, small things like these help. A little reminder that the world can be kind too. Water drips from the paper as I blindly pick it up and gently lay it on another tray holding a decent amount of photo glow. A few seconds under the solution is all it needs before it's ready for drying. No good rushing this last one, even if my body's already screaming for some decent snooze. My hand fumbles for the light switch, moving towards it with familiarity, while I fish for a squeegee among the mess of tools on a drawer with the other. The bulb flickers twice before it glows, settles, and casts a soft light in the tiny space. When I glance back down, squeegee in hand, ready to finish the process and call it a night.
What on earth?
Yep, he caught the ghost. Her head's gone. Blurred and distorted beyond recognition, rather. The area completely smudged over, leaving no trace of the sweet smile that good woman carried in all the previous prints.
Damn, that was too careless.
Common mistake to make, of course. One is negligent enough to pick a newly processed photo in the dark like I apparently did. It has happened before. Loads of times, actually. I still can't help but feel a small pang of frustration over one mistake a newbie would likely make. With a sigh, I reach up with the switch again, intending to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
Yeah, no kidding. Memory clicks. One cursory thought in the sea of many, in a short yet distinct second from the day before. A glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to burn the image in my mind. When he saw the ghost like poking at her face, there was a shadow. Yep. No. A woman. In her 20s or early 30s, maybe? But with how far gone her flesh alone has become, it's not possible to tell at first glance. The skin itself has already taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Her bony hands grip Miss Wright's neck like a noose, tainting the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes.
Zachary?
Not for me, but for Miss Wright.
Zach, is something the matter?
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all.
Yep.
Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
Trying to get her away. Memory alone's enough to make me retch. Okay, I gotta check this. Yeah, so that's the pictures. But it doesn't look like they're adding anything here. Okay. Memory alone's enough to make me retch. I brushed it off then. A trick of the light, I told myself. Or a product of the heat. Weather has been unexpectedly warm recently, so it shouldn't be too surprising for such things to happen. And, well, blaming this on the usual fatigue, an overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part is far more convenient. Makes a whole lot of sense than what the small voice inside my head whispers. Same tiny voice that only makes itself known when something's afoul. Same one that lent a curious ear to Isabella's worries about the mansion. And with each second I spend staring at this photograph, the murmurs in my head only grow louder against my ears. Someone has to know. Oh. Well. See, the option I want is not there. And the option I want is to show them both. I want to show Hannah so that she sees the creature. But I also want to show Ash. Like, he'll dismiss it, obviously. But at least he would see it, and at least he'd be aware of it. I think I want to show the photo to... Yeah, I'm gonna choose to show the photo to Ash. Ash will give me flack for this. He will. I can already hear what he's going to say about this the moment I bring it up. Hell, before he even sees anything, I'll wager. The guy's a skeptic through and through, and I'll take more than my account for him to even consider this. But when you've been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs on the back of your neck and leave you wanting to flee or hide, what he thinks is the least of my concerns. I am no hero. That's the title best served for someone else. Still, this helps him change his mind. It's worth a try. Isabel's gone and done the same thing, didn't she? Outside, the sun has yet to rise. I've still got a few hours before dawn. Good enough time to mull over how I'll go about this with him. Plenty of space to check if I'll get the same result if I redo the process again. So let's see, journal. Is there really nothing else? Yep, some of Hannah's shots from the photo shoot the day before came out distorted after Zachary developed them. He would have almost dismissed it as human error if he hadn't remembered a chilling memory from yesterday's shoot. The film processor hums back to life at my touch. The light switch gives a soft click, and darkness embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
Sometimes I wish Ash would make himself easier to find. 24 messages, 13 phone calls, and 1 visit to his flat later, and I still have no idea which rock in Luxbourne he went off to hide under. Guy has his own place, but he refuses to stay in it. Has his own phone, but doesn't answer any of his calls or gives any indication he's gotten my messages. Most of the time, he'll just show up on my front door. Sometimes in the middle of the night, complaining how uncomfortable it is to sleep in the back of his car. As if the old couch in my flat's any better. Nothing new from him, though, but a bit frustrating, really. Now that's a point. Why doesn't he like sleeping in his own house? That is a very good point. And I guess it's something that we will find out when we get to his chapter. There's the police precinct, of course. Then again, he's not there most of the time either. And if that's also true for today, he's likely out on another stakeout. There's not much to do for me but to wait if that's the case.
Let's just hope I'm lucky enough today.
While Luxbourne is a relative peaceful city boasting a low crime rate, its precinct stays abuzz with activity. As soon as I open the glass front doors, murmurs come from the people waiting in the lobby welcoming me. Officers can occasionally be seen shuffling in and out of the rooms, greeting civilians with a casual smile and a polite nod. Some, though, look a little worse for wear, like the receptionists, who look at me with much disdain the moment I arrive. Thankfully, I won't have to deal with him today. Before I can even step in, Ashton's voice, though low, comes from the hallway adjacent to the lobby.
Not even for just 1 minute?
No. The case was dismissed, remember?
You were the one handling that case.
If you want access to those records, you've got to ask Chief. I was taken off it before shit went to hell. Why do you even bother? Even Professor Clark seems to have given up on that.
Well, Never mind, you won't understand.
Right. I know you owe Professor Clark a lot, but the right guy isn't just someone you mess with.
Ash is investigating, Luke. Or maybe potentially his father. There was mention from, Luke that there was a scandal that, Luke ended up getting involved in that pertained to his father, so... Curiouser and curiouser.
They've got the money. Who knows what else gets swept under the rug with them involved.
That takes a special kind of ignorant not to know.
And a smart person to know which boundaries he can't cross. You're a bright guy, you'll figure it out. In any case, I've got to get going. Another missing person case on my hand. Benjamin on the front desk looks like he's about to maul someone after the 4th one yesterday. Murders, people missing, what a time to be alive. Man, I miss the old Luxbourne.
You and me both. I'll see ya. Gonna go grab some lunch.
He notices me first as soon as he enters the lobby and pauses. Confusion briefly crosses his face until I fish out the phone from my pocket and wave it up. Frowning, he pulls his own mobile out, wordlessly fiddling it with a few seconds before sighing heavily. There ain't any annoyance in him when he glances up, though, only mild exasperation and what might be a hint of amusement.
Stop taking pointers from Isabella. This is gonna get old soon.
At least use your phone properly.
Right?
It's an alarm clock, a good note-taking device, a halfway decent camera, and maybe a music player too. If I'm being nice.
Yes, but its main function is a phone. So please use it as intended, guy.
What else do I need it for?
I don't know, keeping in contact maybe?
When he merely shrugs, I know I struck a chord. He's far from holding a piece of technology in contempt, of course. Ash has always been nothing but practical from the start, and technology is useful. Only when he gets too focused on one thing, like a case he's handling, he tends to forget that there are other things around him. A little reminder and a nudge in the right direction could get him a long way.
I've got an email on that social media site the girls roped us into joining.
That doesn't make any sense. Also, you've got an account before any of us had one.
For policing purposes? Anyway, why are you here? I thought you have something scheduled today. Or was that yesterday?
Yesterday, but I need to talk to you.
That was yesterday. Look, about that, there's something I want you to see.
He stops me with the tap on my shoulder and walks past me straight to the door and gestures with his head towards the very irked receptionist when I raise an eyebrow in question.
Over lunch. I haven't eaten anything since last night, and Benjamin there doesn't really like loiterers around here.
Wordlessly, I follow after him, not after sending the poor guy behind the table an apologetic smile. As expected, he takes a seat in the farthest corner of the cafe, good away from the window, but easily allows a view of who comes and goes. Secluded enough not to be disturbed by the lunch hour rush or be overheard by a curious bystander. If I didn't know this was lunch he invited me to, I would automatically assume I got dragged into another stakeout. After years of knowing him, though, this has simply become one of the many habits he has that I've gotten used to. Food arrives minutes later. A slice of the vegetarian quiche for me. Meanwhile, Ashton has opted for a cup of coffee plus a gracious serving of...
You having cake for lunch?
Yes, he is. And of course, the coffee has his face on it. He shrugs and then proceeds to dig him without even a hint of remorse. Frankly, it's like seeing a child get his Christmas present early.
Don't tell Becca. I'll get an earful. It's just for today.
You should listen to her, though. The kind of work you do, you'll need to eat something other than sweets. I don't want to see you drop dead in front of my apartment again.
Ouch.
I told you, just this once.
Yeah, okay.
Have you been hanging out with Becca lately? You're beginning to sound like her.
Nah, just for some recipes. But she has the right to worry, you know? It's like she's taking care of two kids. One bitches on sweets, while the other on cup noodles.
And they both like each other. But she likes the one that has the sweet tooth, so... Shit. Triangle.
At least Bella knows how to cook.
Hey, I can at least boil something.
Yeah, an apartment. While you're trying to make fucking salad.
Wait, that's easy, right? I mean, you just put water in and...
Yeah, see? He...
No, don't even think about it. You destroyed your own kitchen once by sticking a pressure cooker on it. I think my sister is a whole lot better than you. And this is coming from someone who has no other choice but to eat her cooking for some time.
To be fair, he genuinely appears offended at the last remark. Hate will be a too strong word to describe how Sis and him usually interact whenever they're in the same room. Though whatever appropriate word it is, I can say with most certainty that the feeling's mutual for both of them. Ash thinks she nags too much, while Sis thinks he's a trouble magnet I should stay away from. They're both technically right on their assessments.
How's your sister, by the way? Still bullying white guys?
Ouch! What should I say? She married one, you know.
You do know she's married to one now.
Ah, and that went up. Sweet.
I hope she doesn't end up poisoning him with her cooking.
Pot calling the kettle black?
She can't be better than me.
Actually, she is now. They're planning to start a restaurant sometime in the future.
I was bedridden for days after eating some of the stuff she whipped up. And now you're letting her cook for other people?
Hey, if she's gotten better, she's gotten better.
Don't exaggerate. It was just for one day, and you're the one who refused to leave your apartment. You should come by, though. Sis gave birth a few days ago. Girl, I've only seen the pictures. But I might visit sometime after everything's settled down. Too many backlogs to go through for now.
So Zachary's an uncle now. That is so awesome.
No way in hell. She'll just find something to criticize again. Last time, it was Shirley.
He makes a show of being utterly mortified, though I'm quite sure he doesn't mean any of that. He might not say it straight out, but I'm pretty sure he's enjoying the small visits whenever he can. Something about it reminds him of his own family, sort of like making up for the one he never got back after his parents separated. Sore spot, that one topic. One thing he never ever brings up in any conversation if he can help it, and I've never seen the need to be nosy. There's some wounds you're just not meant to open, and for the both of us, the sentiment goes both ways.
As if you ain't already on a shit list. You're just afraid of her.
In your dreams. But I'll think about it. Can't just drop this thing at the moment.
His change in tone is subtle, but his aggravation over the matter hangs completely palpable in the air.
Still no closer?
The opposite, actually. There's been some slip-ups here and there. Careless mistakes, and let's just say I'm waiting for him to make another one. What about you? How are things on your end?
All piled up on top of the other. But I can manage. Still recovering from the expenses for the movie, so the surge in new projects helps. Well, there's this one thing.
Yeah, show him the pic. The expression on his face grows more puzzled with each picture I spread on the table. There's about 8 of them. All of it reprints of the same thing. Miss Wright's distorted head on the photos. He takes a minute to go through each, eyeing the prints warily. The furrow on his brow doesn't ease even as he gathers all of it into one pile and sets them in one neat stack in front of me with a heavy sigh.
Hannah Wright?
Yeah. How did you...
The locket. She never takes it off. Evan's family heirloom.
I won't even think about asking why or how he knows that. If he's investigating them, he'll likely have already dug up every unimaginable dirt on them, including family history.
Are you done with your work with them?
Yesterday, yeah. It's just a small feature for a magazine. Interviews, photos, standard stuff, nothing big. But see, here's the thing. I don't know how else to put this out there without sounding crazy, but there really is something odd with that place. Remember the letter?
He drags in a breath, reaches up his nose and pinches it. Like the action alone will help him grant all the patience in the world to continue this conversation. Before we do that, I am, however, going to save.
Please tell me this isn't about that again.
No, Ash, you've got to listen this time.
I am listening, and I can't believe that just came out of your mouth.
Can you, chill and let me finish?
These are some blurred out photos, and that letter is just a stupid prank. I expected this from Isabella, not you. You're the photographer here. I don't see any need to get worked up over this.
I know what you mean, but will you hear me out first?
Ash leans back in his seat and doesn't say anything further. He gestures for me to continue with a wave of his hand and patience clearly on his face. Any other person telling him this, and he'd walk out without batting an eye. I suppose the only reason he's given me the benefit of the doubt is because we know each other.
Ash, I don't easily buy into these things as much as you do. Yesterday, though, behind Hannah.
He blinks at that, his eyebrows lifting momentarily before settling into a deep frown.
Hannah? Since when were you on a first-name basis with the Wright missus?
Are you gonna fucking interrupt me while I keep talking about this, or are you gonna let me fucking finish?
Why does that even matter?
I thought you said this was just a gig.
His voice stays level, but the accusation in it is clear as day. It hits a nerve in me somehow, more than that tone usually does. I do get where he's coming from, but it ain't the point here. Of all the things I said, my connection to the Wrights is the first thing he points out. And just like that I lose some points, but that's fine. As much as I want to keep my own annoyance at bay, I can't stop it from seeping into my voice.
That's completely beside the point here, Ash.
I warned you, Zach.
Oh, for fuck's sake, are you gonna listen to me or not?
I get it, alright? But you can't just expect me to turn it down after I made a commitment to a client. got to put food on my table.
I didn't say you shouldn't, but you should not be messing with them.
I wasn't messing with them.
And this isn't?
He waves the photos in front of me before dropping the pile on the table with a loud smack. I don't need to look to know we've already attracted some attention from the lunchtime crowd. Besides, turning away from him feels almost the same as admitting he's right. There are things more important than his damn case right now. I wish he'd see that.
It was a job, and that ain't how these photos were intended to come out. You think I'd go out of my way just to edit something like this? There's something weird going on here.
And you think Luke Wright will see it that way? You think the Wright missus will find it amusing?
I did not do this for my amusement, Ash. People's lives might be at stake here.
If you understood that in the first place, we wouldn't be having this stupid talk. Luke fucking Wright is a dangerous man, Zach. Keep hanging around them and you'll find yourself burnt to a crisp in your apartment or floating down a river 3 days later. This case is...
Will you stop talking about the damn case for once and just listen to me? Why do you think Isabella's...
Don't you dare bring her into this. We're talking about you and this stupid...
Oh, of course you don't want to talk about it. Because you're fucking afraid there's some damn truth to what she's saying now that there's two of us.
Every expression drains from his face as soon as the words are out of my mouth. They've hit their mark. Each utterance scratches with nothing but anger and the truth. Yet they are also things I won't typically say out loud in good company and rather ease people into before letting it fall. Almost immediately, a wave of regret rushes over me.
Ash, dude, that ain't what I meant to...
You said enough, Zach.
Fuck. Without another word, he stands, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. All while my brain races to find something to fix this. Ours ain't a fragile friendship by any means. I like to think we've gone past the stage when we find everything the other says insulting. But there are times when letters and phrases alone can cut deeper than any blade. Mine might even leave a scar. He don't let me, however. Instead, he sets a card in front of me. The name's familiar, but amidst the cloud of remorse swirling inside my head, I can't bring myself to recall where I've seen it.
You shouldn't be running blind. Call this guy. He'll be less inclined to shout at you. Might even talk some sense into you.
I don't see his face when he leaves. And it's only when the store's bell chimes again do I breathe. Interesting. Disturbed. Zachary decides to show the photographs to Ashton. During their lunch at the coffee shop, they briefly discuss Zach's sister before the top appeared to the photos. Refusing to believe his friend, Ashton advised him to talk to Andrew instead. Okay. Of all the places it never crossed my mind, I'll end up wandering into the public library today, considering I've rarely ever visited. Somehow, there has always been this kind of disconnect between me and books in general. Sure, some of them held my attention in my youth during the brief times of the day when I was left to my own with nothing to do. I went through the whole of Grant's collection, as a matter of fact. Read all of them twice or thrice even. But they never did hold it for long. Most of it never even sticked. Especially after I learned it's simply easy to do things myself if I want to learn stuff. This ain't in the plan in the first place. But after that argument, I really don't have any other choice. Nothing but quiet greets me inside, though. Not the typical mum one would associate with a library, but one akin to a hush prior to an impending trouble. Or perhaps I'm just overthinking again. I really like to think I'm just thinking too much about this, that this is just a lack of sleep talking. Regardless, apart from a group of students murmuring in a corner somewhere, the place is free of its usual visitors. All while my footsteps echo in a manner unsettling enough to raise the hairs on the back of my head. Much to my relief, it does not take me long to find him, being the only occupant in this side of the room. Professor Andrew Clark. I never personally met the man, but Ash has spoken highly of him several times. In fact, he is Ash's go-to guy when something troubling him with a case. My steps are unsure as I approach. At any rate, he greets me with a warm smile like a grandson he hasn't seen in a long time.
Ashton's friend, I take it. Zachary. You'll have to forgive this old man if I don't get your name right.
Oh no, you got it right.
Oh, no, you got it. It's Zach. Zachary Steele, Professor Clark.
He gestures at the empty seat across the table while he returns to his books. Next couple of minutes pass in relative silence as he continues to read and take notes from the pile he's accumulated on the table. Maybe I should have taken a book first before heading over. But before I can even get far into that idea, the professor clicks the book shut, sets it atop the stack next to him.
Ashton told me you were hoping to get answers from me.
Yep. At my confused look, he lets out a small chuckle.
He sent a message ahead. A friend needs to have some sense knocked into him. In verbatim.
I'm not surprised.
That boy never changes.
I wasn't really expecting he'd do that.
Although I'm not quite sure what I could share, I'll do my best to help.
Of course, there are a lot of things I want to ask. How do we get out of this mess in the first, among tens, hundreds of my concerns in my head? But in the presence of someone I barely know, the thoughts won't come easily. He is nothing but patient, however, and with enough time to mull over, a question finally forms.
Do you believe in the paranormal, Professor?
It's supernatural, actually. Don't worry. It's a common mistake to make, but they really are two different things. The other one deals with what we can't explain at the moment, while the other are things we may not have an explanation to. Here.
He places a couple of papers in front of me. The very same one he was writing on earlier. A study of Luxborn's supernatural culture in a nutshell.
A friend of mine wrote that a few years ago. He took interest in the city after reading about the stories. I have to agree with him here. Even stories dealing with things you don't see with the naked eye can be rife with culture, and this city thrives on it. Just ask the locals.
Like ghosts, for example.
Among other things. The interpretation has changed over the years, though. Various religions, for example, have their own version. It might not always be a spirit now. It could be a memory, or an imprint, an echo, so to speak. Some are born from curses, even, out of great anger, hatred, or pain. There was this one story. Here it is.
Another book is pulled out from the stack and placed open atop the papers. Well, he speaks with such passion that it makes me wonder if some part of him believes these to be true. It is interesting, though, even if I'm personally not a fan of such stories. And soon, hours pass without my notice.
In the end, it asked for something to be sacrificed in order to destroy whatever anchors the wraith. A sad tale, that one, but the simplest grudge can bring the ugliest, even in the kindest person, with some people none the wiser. Oh, I'm sorry. I just went on.
Nah, it's good. Are you familiar with the Ermengarde Mansion, though?
Of course. That goes without saying. Who hasn't heard of the local legend? Although, word of the mouth is, someone has already bought it.
Yep.
Yeah. The right couple. It was a close friend who handled that sale.
So I heard. Well, don't think the house being bought by anyone would stop us from talking about it.
Very true.
What is it about the mansion, then?
I just want to ask what you think of it, sir.
We're going to need more than an afternoon for that, young man. You see, it's the kind that has changed over the years, passed down from one person to the next. Sometimes, it's the Lord William who haunts the place. There are versions where it's the lady of the house. But my favorite, a personal favorite, would have to be the ones that followed after the disappearance of the kind daughter.
Well, what about these then?
There's a moment of hesitation on my part before I pull out Miss White's photos and lay them all in front of him. Unlike Ash, though, the professor inspects each print with great interest. That gives me some hope, at least.
When were these taken?
Just the other day. Do you think those are the same?
Perhaps. Perhaps not. There were certainly instances when the film would pick up what the human eyes weren't able to see. But then, it could also have been human error.
I didn't edit it in any way. You have my word on that, Professor. They all just came out like that.
Then, if it is what you're thinking, I'd strongly advise against doing something reckless and further tangling with them. Accounts about them may be riveting to you, but most of it often ends in an unpleasant manner.
What about those people in the house? If there is something in there, shouldn't they know? I'm sure they're already familiar with the legends, but...
Some people might deserve it, however.
There we go.
Deserve what, sir?
All of a sudden, the tenderness in the professor's eyes disappears, his face becoming unreadable. As though catching himself, he hastily clears his throat, gathers his books, and rises from his seat.
Professor?
I'm sorry. I just remembered something I neglected to do. You'll have to excuse me, Zachary.
All right. Do you need any help with that?
Don't let my looks fool you, son. I can still carry a few hundreds. I've been doing this for years.
That's an interesting response, actually.
I'll see you some other time if you have any other questions.
Of course. It was nice knowing you, Professor.
He doesn't hear it, however. In a few short strides, he's out of the library, leaving me and every piece of this whole mess amidst the oppressive stillness. Despite the answers gleaned, more questions surfaced. If there's even a single way out of this, I hope we find it soon. Journal. Zachary met with Professor Andrew Clark in the library. The professor shared a few of his favorite stories about the city, including a friend's research about its urban legends. When Zach showed Hannah's distorted photos, the professor only warned him not to be reckless, and that some people deserve what's coming to them. The moon is well into the night sky by the time I make it back home. My heavy treads and the sound of traffic outside echoing in my ears, filling the empty room with some semblance of life. Nana would scold me if she ever hears me walk like that. But after today, I really can't give a damn about anything. The mattress creaks under my weight as I unceremoniously flop down on it, and I find myself looking up at the paper under my grip. An invitation and a request to cover an event. The Wrights' housewarming party tomorrow night. If only it were that easy. It would give me a chance to talk to her about that thing in their house. With a sigh, I let my hand fall to the side of the bed along with the invitation. I'll think about it tomorrow, when my head ain't muddled with thoughts of headless women and the haunting smiles of a ghost. But lately it occurs to me that the last meal I ate had been the one with Ashton. And an empty, gnawing ache makes itself known. But I can't bring myself to stand. Today was a complete waste of time, and frankly, a disappointment. I don't like this. The lack of certainty, the disquiet, the lack of stable ground to stand on, the part where I do not know what will come tomorrow. Ever since that damn letter, everything's been thrown out of the loop. I wish something had stayed the same. Routine would have made easier to make sense than all of this. Closing my eyes, I let the noise from the streets below lull me to sleep. At the very least, that's the one thing that hasn't changed. Melodies carry into the hall long before I cross the threshold. Solemn, but gentle and soothing. A reminder of what home is. Pa's firm but meaningful gaze, Ma's wistful smile. The warm rays filtering through the eaves of the sunset. The distinct smell of wet earth and leaves after a long day's rain, and our room. The room. Ma and Pa's pride and joy. Place we were once promised several springs ago. Yet it won't stop.
No, wait! Come back! I'll be good this time! Please don't leave! Please stay!
Floorboards are cold under my feet more than it usually is. The walls more forbidden than what I'm used to. Farther and farther the room goes. Ma's singing ceases and Pa. I can't hear Pa. Not above the rockets clanking and the deafening roars of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting soft melodies. There is only the blinding fear. But when the light breaks, her skin has already taken a sickly pale color. rotten in most places, blood dripping from every open gash and reaching on her body. Bony hands gripping Hannah's neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice spills the gleam in her eyes. A scream ripples through the air. My whole body feels distant. Oh, it looks like it might be another minigame, so I better get ready. Every limb heavy with lead, unable to move at will. Not even so I can wipe the beads of sweat forming at my temple. The rasping of my breath easily fills the room in the wee hours, while I force it back into a steady rhythm. There is a tightness in my chest that I cannot shake, my heart pounding against it as if it's about to burst out. Something cold settled on my legs. Not the usual chill that comes and goes with the passing breeze from the window. One strong enough to stink, shackle, and leave a frigid sensation creeping up in my skin. With every struggle I make, the pressure winds firmly around my legs. Tighter, and tighter, and tighter, until all becomes too much. My heart stops. The draft sweeps into the room and brings with it the iron tang of blood. Thick. Suffocating. Filling my nose with a foul, sickening smell as I shift my gaze downward and it slowly comes into view. Oh, fuck. Mouth stretched in a hideous smile and eyes brimming with nothing but madness. Stench of gore taints the air around me and I cannot look away from it. Her, and the terror and death that her uncanny twisted features alone scream. I try to open my mouth to shout, to ask for any help. My voice has left my body altogether. All I have is the painful realization that no kind of plea will ever save me from her. Then suddenly, bed dips. Oh, fuck. Okay, so no QTE, just fucking terrifying jump screen. Cool. The brutal plunge back into myself jerks me awake. There is no ear-splitting scream, no wild thrashing of limbs. Just a painful, constricting awareness that something has wound itself tightly around my neck. I waste no second pulling a blanket away, but allow myself a few minutes to steady my breathing before getting off the bed. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. 1 step. 2 steps. 3. But the dreams have gotten worse. Ever since 2 days ago, no longer are they the small cursory flashes that I'm used to, but vivid ones that linger. I can still feel the blood in my hands, the putrid smell of rotten flesh, the sickening crunch of bones breaking with every movement, and her cold, chilling eyes as they bore into me. I draw in one long, ragged breath, and before I know it, I'm walking out the door. Even in the waking world, it reeks. A bench on the park is far from the most private place for thoughts of Luxborn, considering its location at the heart of the bustling city. But in the early hours in the morning, it provides enough peace and quiet for any poor problematic soul who happens to wander here. The city is just waking up, a little later than usual. But knowing what day it is, one can't fault it for being a little tardy just this once. Yet neither the pleasant morning chill nor the soft twittering of birds does anything to banish the images. Every single one has rooted itself in my head, its claws digging deep in what is no longer a safe place to hide in.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. Take a key and lock him up, lock him up, lock him up. Take a key and lock him up, my fair lady.
It used to be easy.
London Bridge is
Finding
falling
some
down,
pretense of
falling
peace under
down,
the guise of
falling
sheer
down.
optimism.
London Bridge is
Following
falling
regular
down,
outline.
my fair lady. Take a
Now?
key and lock him up, lock him up,
Now I don't know
lock
what to
him
make of
up.
it.
Take a key and lock him up,
Sometimes it's
my
easier to run.
fair lady.
Easier to hide when everything's falling apart.
London Bridge is falling down,
That way.
falling down,
You don't have to be the
falling
first to
down.
witness it when it
London
does.
Bridge is falling down, my
It worked
fair
when things went
lady.
bad with the movies after
Take
all.
a key and lock him up, lock him up, lock
It
him
also
up.
worked when Ma and
Take
Pa
a
were
key
taken from
and
us.
lock him up, my fair
Maybe
lady.
it really is better if I just...
Hey, mister.
Hi. How are you? Who do you belong to? The tiny voice gives me pause. When I look up, a little girl, maybe about 6 or 7, is peering at me. 2 wide eyes overflowing with what can only be the natural curiosity one typically sees in children. I vaguely note the Saint Goretti uniform she's wearing before returning her greeting. Okay, so she must be one of Becca's students.
Hey, kid.
Kylie.
Oh, hi, Kylie.
Kylie?
That's my name. Mama said it's rude not to call people by their names.
Okay, but I didn't know what your name was, so that's why I called you Kid. Calm down. She then flops down on the empty space beside me. Her little legs, still too short to touch the ground, swing in tune with a song she hums under her breath. I don't mind kids. Nana would often invite the ones in our old neighborhood to give them treats. Of course, by then Sis and I were both too old to play with them. But you get used to the commotion eventually. It's not completely as unpleasant as most people would imply. Kylie seems to be a well-behaved kid anyway.
Oh, sorry. Nice to meet you, Kylie. Is Mama here?
No, but my big brother's with me. He's taking pictures with his camera over there.
Oh, cool. She points to the far end of the park, the one closest to the street where a kid is taking shots of something above him. Doesn't look to be birds, because all there is on that side of the park are buildings.
I don't see what's so interesting with the tip of a building, though. I'd take pictures of dogs if I were him. They're cuter. Do you have a camera too, mister?
I do. I don't know if I have it on me.
Yeah, I'm actually a photographer.
Mama said I'm too young to get a camera.
Aww.
I'm sure your mama will eventually give you one. But won't you be late for school like this?
Big brother will get us there on time. Rowan promised Papa. We aren't going to be late. It's sports day. So it's not good if you keep looking like that today. If it ends up raining and we lose, it's your fault.
All right, I'll try not to upset the clouds today, kid.
Is it because you're sick, mister?
I mean, we're all a little sick inside. Before I know it, a smile has spread over my face. They say kids ask the toughest questions sometimes, and they sure do, with how sincere Kylie looks. Lying feels like doing her a huge disservice.
No, not sick. Just having a very, very bad day.
Why is that? Is that like when my big brother ate all of my pudding? He did that once and then cried. It wasn't very nice of him.
No, it wasn't. Absolutely wasn't.
Yeah, I think so. You see, there's this mean girl. She's given my friends and I a lot of trouble. I even got in a fight with my best friend because of her. Hard to keep up when things are like that, you know? Especially when you can't do anything. It's kind of scary. Makes you wish things will just stay as peaceful as they used to be.
Maybe she just wants to be friends with you?
I highly doubt that. She already hurt one of my friends.
What if she's just sad? Or maybe she just wants help. That's what happened with Melody. I let her borrow my crayon when she left hers.
Okay.
Now we're playmates.
It's not really the same thing, Kylie. What she did, they're pretty bad things.
I still think there's another reason.
Aw, Kylie wants to see the best in everybody.
Did you try talking to her? That's what Mama said I should do.
I don't think that'll work either.
You haven't even tried yet. You sound like Rowan. You're just scared scared, mister.
That strikes a chord. Maybe it's the honesty in her tone, or simply the truth in the words itself. I don't know why, but I can't help it. I laugh. Loud enough to disturb an elderly couple taking a leisurely walk nearby.
Why are you laughing?
That's nothing. You're a really smart kid, you know that?
That's what I've been doing, ain't it? Go full speed ahead, then backtrack when the going gets tough. Stay in my safe zone because that's what I know. Once, Dr. Navarro said I should be the first one willing to deal with my problems before anyone else. Didn't show up on our next appointment after that. But he's right. No, I hate to admit it, knowing what I've seen, but the kid makes a good point too. I've been so caught up in thinking there might not be a way out. Maybe there isn't, or maybe there is, but that don't mean I should just leave it up to fate. My spirit's supposed to be human before too. Had people they cared about, lived a life of their own, smiled and laughed like the rest of us does. Do they really lose all of it after death?
You better get to school, though, or you'll miss sports day. You should have won yourself some awards, alright?
Alright. Can I show it to you when I do? That can cheer people up, right?
Aww. In the distance, her brother calls for her. I took that as a sign to leave. Got things to do, to face. First few steps, they say.
Nah, I'm good now, I think. Thanks to you. Besides, Mister needs to go. But you should show it to Mama and Papa. I'm sure they'll be proud of you, Kylie.
I will. Thanks, mister. Bye.
I give her a little pat on the head before heading my way. Small gesture of thanks from a stranger she didn't know she might have helped. She might not understand it now, even though at such a young age she already has this understanding of things. But maybe when she's older, when the world no longer seems too big for her.
But aren't you going to help me, mister?
What?
With what?
Confused, I glanced back. Whatever cheer or little talk brought has vanished under the shadows, suddenly dancing in my eyes. This frigid air is most definitely not how the morning chills should feel like. Bitter, stinging, unwelcoming. The kid.
What do you think, mister? Are you going to help me?
What do you want from us?
Response never comes, however. Just when I blink. Gone.
Hello? Mister? Are you okay?
Several passing seconds. I let my stare linger on her face, waiting for any sign of another change. All that remains is there. But all that remains in there is a carefree smile of a child. None of the spite, none of the cold, bloody smile.
Nothing. I really need to go, Kylie. It was nice meeting you.
See you again, mister!
I break out into a run. I don't look back, not even as I bump into a couple of passerbys as soon as I'm out on the streets. Going insane, this is what it is. And if we don't do something soon, we all will be. Zachary's nightmares become worse with each passing day. To help clear his mind of the unwanted images, each took a visit to the park. Zach took a visit to the park. There he met little Kylie Suarez, a precocious little young girl studying at St. Goretti. Hannah was being extra clean. Okay, no, that's... Meanwhile, oh, it's the same day. It is the same day. Oh, okay, we'll see. Tremors follow me even as I get home. I had hoped a little stroll around the block of a few hours would help. Instead, I am assaulted with more images of her. Her smile, the loathing in her eyes, the stench of gore, the horrid crunch that comes with every movement she makes. Even old memories have been sullied by her, and Ma's songs no longer sound as sweet as it meant to. In the end, all I got is a sinking feeling I will never get rid of her image, and another ridiculous idea that may or may not even work. The sun's already hanging low on the horizon when I make it back, and for the first time, coming home feels like a chore. Only, I didn't arrive to an empty room. Because as soon as I open the door, I am greeted by none other than...
Sup, Z-Man?
Oh, so you're not mad at me anymore.
I told you we should have called him before going here.
It's fine.
It's Ashton I see first, sitting comfortably on my couch, munching on a bag of chips with both feet propped atop the coffee table. Whatever proverbial stone has made a home at the pit of my stomach automatically flies right out the window at the sight of him. But before any exasperation can set in, my attention is taken by the other occupant in the room. Isabella perches on the only other chair in the room, attempting to make herself smaller, it seems, from how closely she's hugging her arms against her. Nevertheless, she gives me a small smile when she notices my stare. Yet somehow, there ain't any warmth in it like it's supposed to have.
Hey, Zach. Sorry we just barged in here. Ash was...
Relax. Z-Man gave me a copy of the key himself.
Did I not tell you to just call me Zach?
Only after you broke the 13th one. I can't keep replacing them every time you think it'd be a good idea to break into my apartment. And stop calling me Z-Man.
I didn't break anything this time.
Yeah, because you had the fucking key.
Ash, just because I gave you a key doesn't mean you can just stroll in here whenever you want to. And, hey, is that my...
Ash smirks at me. Because of course he has the gall to smirk knowing what he did. He pops in what's very likely the last piece of chip into his mouth, folds the wrapper neatly in the table before throwing it into the nearby trash. From her chair, Isabella shoots me an apologetic smile as soon as the foil hits the waste bin with a dull thunk. Common sense dictates that Ash should be angry. But after everything, despite things we've yet to straighten out before it blows up in our faces, having something normal play out in front of me, no matter how childish their antics can get, I can't bring myself to muster even a tidbit of it. Behind me, the television starts blaring the music for the end credits of a movie. They've likely been waiting for a while if Ash has gotten impatient enough to rummage through my cupboards and watch something.
Of course he eats all of it. You know, I was saving that for the weekend. Did you at least share some with Bella?
Don't worry about it. I'm good, Zach.
Really? It's free food, you know. What was that you usually say? You don't say no to free food? What happened?
No, I'm just not hungry.
Ash only shrugs with the question in my eyes. I can't be the only one who finds this vibe she's giving off to be odd, and the guy has no doubt already caught wind of it.
Aye. But if you want something, just say so. I've got a fully restocked pantry right here at your disposal. Still not a 5-star level thing, but for an empty stomach, it'd do. Just say the word.
Thanks, Zach. Maybe next time. Food is not really what we came here for.
Yeah.
Ash, he's the one who...
Oh, reconsider, did you? She casts a brief glance at Ash, and in an instant, he sits up. Every trace of amusement is gone from his face as he claps his hands in front of him and leans forward. A minuscule gesture meant to ease, yet the grim expression on his face tells a different story altogether.
All right, you two, what's this about? I don't like those looks. If this has something to do with the other day, I really am sorry about that.
Zach, you don't really have anything to really apologize for.
It was rude, and I didn't mean for it to come out that way.
A short but tense pause follows. They're both stalling. Under normal circumstances, I'd wait. With these two, the more you force it, the more they'll clamp down on it. But as a handful of seconds continue to slip by, the unsettling feeling in me also grows with it. Soon it turns into impatience. Before I can demand a response, though, one of them finally speaks up. It's Ashton who breaks the silence first.
No, don't apologize. I should have listened.
Yeah, you should have.
How is everything with you lately, Zach?
Creepy.
Hold on, Ash. Both of you. Did I just hear you say that? Is this why Isabella's here? Has something happened?
Calm down, we're just here to check on things. So, did you meet Andrew about the photos?
What photographs?
I said photographs had been sitting untouched since the day I dumped them in my drawer. Isabella goes very still when I hand her the small stack. To her credit, she does not flinch like I'm expecting her to, and flips through each of it in silence. But while her eyes remain strangely calm, her hands have gone rigid and her mouth has set into a thin line. She, out of all people, understands what this means. In hindsight, I should have approached her before I approached Ash.
What did Andrew say about them?
It could be one, but there's no guarantee it's a supernatural thing. It doesn't always happen. So, that's a dead end right there. Now that I think about it, bothering that guy for this feels pretty silly now. But with the dreams lately...
That's all? Did he say anything about the damn letter at all? Did you ask him even?
I pause, glancing at him skeptically. I don't know where this sudden curiosity's coming from. But if Ashton, calm, cool, and collected, always logical Ashton, takes interest in this, something or someone must have fucked shit up somewhere. Or the world's ended. Seconds pass. The apocalypse I'm expecting to go along with it doesn't arrive, however.
Yeah, that's really everything. The letter kind of slipped my mind. The photos were more important at that time. There was some stuff about the local horror stories, though. Talked about the curses, and he was really fascinated with the story about a wraith asking for a sacrifice to move on. Kinda nasty if you ask me, but it does make sense if you simply go along with it. I'm not sure how this will help in the grand scheme of things. Why are you asking about this anyway?
Rose's death isn't just a coincidence, Zach.
Yeah.
It may have something to do with... I may have...
Wait. Stop right there for a sec, Bella. I thought you ain't buying this stuff, Ash. Just the other day, you said the exact same thing.
I still don't, but even Rebecca, out of all people, claims there's something. Whatever this is, someone has got to look into it. Everything about this screams shady.
Are you sure you even have the time? Ain't you busy with your current case?
Yeah, the case that is the most important thing to you right now?
I got taken off that one.
Oh. Let me guess. Vendetta?
You didn't say you were taken off your case.
I just got the news this morning. Apparently the higher-ups think I'm doing a horrendous job at it. It doesn't matter, though. If these two cases are connected like I initially thought, then regardless, I'm on the right track.
Are you sure we should even be doing this?
Doing what exactly?
There's someplace we'll visit after this.
Okay.
Too vague for comfort, Ash. And please don't tell me you're bringing her with you.
His affirmation comes in the form of a stare. That alone says all I need to know. What I pointed out gives him a pause, though, and his voice is thick with hesitation when he addresses Isabella.
You know what? Zach's right, Isabella. You don't have to come with me.
You know she's coming with you, right?
It's not myself I'm worried about. It's you. I'll just do this myself, if it'll get you into more trouble with your superiors. At least I can make up an excuse why I need to be there.
Don't be ridiculous. You're not walking in there without me. Besides, I think it's a little too late to back out now. Have you two seen the news this morning?
No.
I haven't, actually. Mama called, and I was busy.
The change in the air around her, while small, cannot have gone unnoticed, and it takes every willpower not to ask. Probably the only thing reining in my curiosity is the fact that Ash himself hasn't brought it up either.
No problem. It should be in the afternoon news as well.
Okay. What? He grabs the remote and cycles through numerous channels until he gets to a news report about another guy who's been found dead in the early hours in the morning today. Burned alive this time. Oddly, no fire has spread, and whatever damage has been contained within the place the body was found. The room itself, however, has been completely vandalized. Help me. Help me. Help me. Another murder, the authorities claimed. Isabella and I knew better. None of us shifts, even after the report ends. The room has suddenly felt stifling. Ashton's eyes have gone hooded, with what appears to be restrained anger, and the remote in his hands creaks mildly under his grip. The stone is back in my stomach. A tiny little thing gripping at my insides, growing with every passing second as the dread sinks in. In the thick of it, Isabella's voice is the one that breaks the hush. small, weak thing in its own that wavers unevenly between worlds, but every syllable heavy with meaning.
This is because of that thing, isn't it? I did this somehow.
When it fades, all that's left in the air is her doubt and fear. And while all we can do is to cope. Is there something I can say to make her feel better? Know what? Go big or go home.
It ain't too late. We could still fix this. There's 3 of us here.
Up! And it seems like it was the right answer. Cool.
4 if you count Rebecca.
No, she's staying away from this.
She lifts her gaze at me, eyes steady, shoulders squared as she holds it against the baffled look I give her. Although in the next second it immediately softens, and it takes me by surprise nonetheless. In those brief moments, it's like I faced a different person.
I don't want to involve her in this any more than I already have. Both of you as well.
I already said it. That's completely out of the question. Stop asking.
Still in all, that's 2 extra heads who can do the thinking.
Exactly.
Between us 3, I'm sure we'll figure something out pretty soon.
Don't make this whole thing sound like it's a piece of cake to deal with.
It ain't. But better than sitting around, yeah? Plan is still a plan.
You're going to shoot yourself in the foot one day with that kind of thinking. We don't even know who's doing this. The last 2 murders might just be similar incidents done by 2 different suspects.
Or it could be the fucking ghost that lives at the fucking manor.
Hasn't stopped you from going after them before. Remember that time when you...
Okay, stop right there. There will be no retelling of that incident today, Z-Man.
Okay, can you... Okay, I won't talk about it. So long as you drop the Z-Man bullshit.
Or ever.
Keep calling me Z-Man and maybe I will.
Zach's on the same wavelength. Suddenly, Isabella laughs. Though muffled by her hands, it rings light and easy against the thick tension in the room. Still a far cry from the usual cheer she carries, but brings a welcome shift in the otherwise dreary mood.
Thanks, you two.
I'll tell you about it when he's not around.
Give it up, Z-Man. She's not interested.
Oh, she's interested.
Who says I'm not?
Ash makes a face, but chuckles at the jest despite himself.
Why am I even friends with you two?
And like this, most of our worries ebb away, if only for a few moments. They take their leave mere minutes close to sundown. But regardless of the lighter mood, little has been said of their plans. Only vague hints of what they aiming to do. Well, it ain't any of my business. Something about this whole thing still gnaws at me. A tiny passing thought urges me to do something as well. Let's save real quick. At this hour, the streets are once again busy with people heading home after a hard day's work. Little of the bustle matters to them as they step out of the crowded walkway hell over them. Ash especially. There's only his goal in mind, and I'd wager there's nothing I can do to stop him at this point. He's probably decided on it long before we made the decision to drop by. Despite this, Isabella lags behind. A worried crease is back on her forehead as she watches Ash leave to get his car.
Something wrong, Bella?
No, Actually, can you take on Becca for me after this? I really didn't get the chance to tell her where I'm headed off to. Tell her I'm okay, and we're... No, just that. That's all.
You sure I should skip on that part? If she finds out about this, she'll be angry. I don't really want to deal with angry Rebecca. It gives me a stomachache just thinking about it.
Neither do I, but I'll handle it if she gets mad. Just make sure she's safe and tell her to be careful. You too. Take care of yourself.
Almost abruptly, she pauses. The gaze in her eyes hardening as she lapses into another one of those long-distance silences from Romeo. This ain't just because of the whole fiasco with the letter anymore.
I don't want what happened to Rose to happen to you guys as well.
This one cut deeper. Before I can ask about it, Ashton returns, casually swinging his car keys in one hand and gestures at Isabella.
Come on, we don't have much time. Shirley's waiting.
Who's sure? Oh, right. Don't answer that. I don't want to hear it, you huge dork.
Says the person who gave her stuffed toys names. Batcat? Really?
It's cute. Yours is just weird. I'll see you later, Zach.
Spares me another smile, and as I watch her walk off, only now did it occur to me that none of those she gave today ever did reach her eyes. I make a grab for the back of Ash's parka. He staggers briefly before correcting himself and shooting me a confused stare.
Is she alright?
Nope.
What? Who's okay?
Isabella. She's been, I don't know, out of it today? Did something happen earlier?
Scowl on his face says it all.
She's actually been like that this morning. I'll ask, but...
Just do me a favor and watch over her. We have no idea what we're dealing with. I don't know what happened to her since the last time I saw her, but from how she's been doing today, whatever it is, seems like a pretty big deal. Wait, you didn't annoy her again, did you? Because I swear to God, if you did, you've got another thing coming for you.
What? No. Why would I?
Because you're kind of an asshole sometimes, dude.
I'm just asking. I'll take your word for it. But if you can find out what's bothering her, that'd be nice. Honestly, I don't think it's the letter this time.
I'll see what I can do.
Make sure you keep yourself out of harm's way, alright?
Yeah, you too. Don't do anything reckless again.
Reckless, no. But I can't make you to promise I won't do anything.
Fair.
After seeing that, there's no way in hell I'm going to pretend there ain't a problem when there is. This is a really big one, and I'll be damned if I let anything happen to you guys while I sit here. I'm done running when things get tough.
He's about to argue for a moment, but...
Look, bro, if things ain't good, I'll be the first one out. But allow me this one thing, alright? Just this one time. If it doesn't work out, you'll be the first one to know. You can laugh then, or berate me all you want. But please don't ask me to step aside like I'm incapable of doing anything to help.
I had no idea if it's the look on my face or the tone in my voice. Ultimately, although his mouth presses into a thin line, he nods.
All right. Stay safe, Zach.
When he stumbles into the sidewalk and allows the afternoon's crowd to swallow him whole, I like to think that tiny gleam in his eyes is the closest we can get to optimism in this situation. Okay. Whether that alone will be enough to give me a peaceful sleep tonight remains to be seen. Night falls, and despite my best attempts, sleep continues to elude me. With her image still stuck in my head, flashing every few moments, it catches me off guard, with Ma's lullaby still echoing in my ears, no longer the soft tune it once was. And a terrible gnawing at the pit of my stomach. It's no wonder I can't bring myself to drift off even for a little while. And it's not as if there's a complete lack of things to do while waiting for sleep to come, if it ever will. And at 2:45 in the morning, I find myself cleaning my photography equipment for no other reason than just to pass the time. Though, if I'm going to be honest, it is not the night terrors that are keeping me wide awake tonight, but the anxiety and the hope that I'll hear from Ash or Isabella soon. And for what's perhaps the 42nd time, my eyes shift over to the end of the table where my phone lies still. I've not heard from them since they left. They haven't promised to call, of course. A small part of me wishes they would have the common sense at the very least. Waiting is a tough game, and with the concerns stretching out, the minutes far longer than usual, it's impossible for more unpleasant thoughts to enter into my mind. Moreover, it does not help that when the clock finally strikes 3, my hand stills. Oh fuck! Oh fuck! Oh fuck! Oh fuck! 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 Zach, QTE to save your life, please. I'll be Complete and utter lie to say my heart didn't leap straight to my throat in that brief second. My whole body was gone motionless, ears straining for any further sounds. A couple of 10 seconds passed. Nothing. Of course, with how old the building I'm staying in, power fluctuations ain't nothing new. Every now and then, this would happen, leaving a few tenants in a rather bad mood. Nothing unusual anymore after a few years of living here. But this time, the sudden hush comes with a stillness that raises the hair at the back of my neck and sets my heart beating hard against my chest. Something leaks in the air, and in an instant, this place is no longer home. It was a prison. Every rational fiber in my being screams at me to move. I force myself to swallow and keep a clear head as I lay down all my cleaning tools and begin gathering together the rest of my things scattered about on the table. Camera's body, lenses, filters, diffuser, phone, anything in my hand could reach, but the resulting panic like in the nightmares, it is the scent that reaches me first. A foul, putrid smell filling my lungs with the heavy stink of death. My fingers clamped tightly to the camera, holding it closer to my body as if the tiny thing would provide even protection, enough protection to whatever is with me in this room. It won't. That's the only comfort I have. Knowing that whoever she is, she has once been human. Perhaps not all of this is gone. Perhaps some of it is still there.
Hello? I know you're in here. What do you want?
Something moves behind me. Soft scuttling over the walls, followed by the squelch and painful creaking of what can only be rotten flesh and broken bone. Without hesitation, I roll around, my fingers and camera ready, patiently waiting for another movement. Oh dear God, it's another QTE. I'm gonna have to snap the camera and hope that I catch her before she catches me. Shit.
I can help you. Whatever it is that keeps you here, I can help. That's what the letter's for, ain't it? You don't have to keep taking people's lives.
Just wordlessly save the game. There's a brief moment of silence after. And for a short while, I think my pleas worked. Then with no warning, the shuffling resumes. And along with it are the sobs of a woman. The light flashes fleetingly one last time, allowing me a glimpse of her grotesque, misshapen features, before it is once again lost in the darkness. All of a sudden, her tune changes, no longer a soft cry, but a high-pitched shriek brimming with pain, grief, and anger. Every ounce of courage I've mustered flees from my body at the sound, and the next thing I know, my hand is gripping the knob and I'm wrenching the door open. Her wails follow me as I flee into the night. Pacing has always been more of Ashley's thing than mine. When I want to think, I sit and let the minutes tick by until an idea comes to my mind or my pulse settles down. And yet dried leaves and twigs crack onto my shoe as I make another pass at them. Terror is too mild to describe what this is. There is no way in hell I am going back. Whatever she is, pleading won't work. The moment we saw that letter, she's been after us.
But I can't run. Not this time.
Nearly 2 hours have gone by since I left the comfort of my room for the solitude of the park. 2 excruciating hours since I've started making calls. No one's answering. Not even Rebecca, who's always kept her phone line open in case other people need her. Or Isabella, who frequently checks hers for any messages and readily responds as soon as she can afford. It does not help that Ash hasn't said a word where he went off to as well.
Damn it! I knew I should have asked him before I let him leave.
Knowing him, he can be anywhere. But there's really only one place he'll likely be at this time. The sun has already peeked over the horizon when I make it to the mansion. I have no idea what I'm expecting to see when I get there. There's Ashton, first and foremost. Part of me wishes my assumptions are correct, and he's really somewhere close by on a stakeout. But I've never been the lucky soul when it comes to that kind of guessing. And even after I've made a round of the immediate vicinity, I could find neither hide nor hair of him. Calling him does no good either, considering how awful the signal is here. He can't be too far if he's already here. And if he is, he would have already noticed me by now. Instead, there's only silence. The kind too quiet to find any sort of comfort in. Even the trees seem to have fallen asleep with the rest of the mansion, oblivious to what's happening around it. A small island of stillness in the otherwise fast-paced world. No wonder the whole of Anselm feels at odds with the rest of Luxburg. While the city is alive, growing every minute, breathing every second and pulsating with life, the village remains unmoving, unchanged. It's not surprising the legend still lives up to this day, and why she's still here walking its hollowed halls. And beyond me, the mansion looms ominously. But now ain't the time to fear. Even if Ash ain't here, I've still got to let the Whites know what I've seen, what's in their home. And whatever grievance Ash has with them doesn't matter. There might be grounds for imprisonment, but they don't deserve a brutal death at the hands of one malicious spirit. And I'm sure Isabella would want the same thing. I head straight for the door without a second thought. It takes a few rings, sound loud enough above the foreboding stillness before I hear footsteps on the other side.
God and Bennett, only a Nazi would knock at such an ungodly hour. Where's that damn butler when I need him?
Before long, the door is widely open, with Mr. Luke Wright standing behind it. Seething would be a complete understatement to describe him. There's also a black cloud surrounding him, and I don't like it. Like this, I got no doubt why Ash would find him a suspect.
You? How the hell did you get in here? What in seven hells do you want? It's bloody 6 in the morning!
Listen, sir, I know this is not a good time.
Oh, it's not a good time. Did you even check the clock before coming here? I bet you didn't.
Oh my god, calm the fuck down, guy. I've tried to save your life.
Unlike you, the ones living in this house need to sleep. Come back when people are actually awake, or I'll call security on you.
Before I can get a word in, he slams the door right in my face and bolts it shut with much finality.
Wait, sir, you gotta hear me out. You're both in danger if you stay in there. Have you seen the news lately? Everything's not a coincidence.
Only silence answers me. Maybe if it was Miss Wright. Oh, who am I kidding? There are limits to how far a person will believe in you. Then again, I didn't believe Isabella when she warned us. And now I'm here, desperately trying to save people. Even I'm aware it's completely out of my own capacity to do so. So, this is what they call karma. If so, this is one horrible way of turning things around. Taking people's lives, playing with people's fears, making them feel useless.
You're around, ain't you? You here? Inside this house? Listening, watching, or whatever it is that you spirits do? What did they do to you? I can help you, you know? If it'll let you move on, I'll gladly do so. You don't have to kill anyone.
Nothing. I don't even know who I'm talking to, or if a sane person's supposed to be doing that. The only thing I got after is a feeling of foolishness watching over me. Or perhaps I'm just losing my mind. Out of other options and any other ideas, I let my hand slide off the door's surface and fall listlessly to my sides. I can go back to Luxborn, try to find the others, try to get out of this mess with them. Let them know how much of deep shit we all are. Both sound good. Either way, my loitering here ain't helping this shit. I let the quietness calm me for a few more moments before standing up and heading out to fetch my bike. It's quite a distance to Luxborn, but if I hurry, I'll reach it in maybe... The rustling stops as soon as I turn around and strain my ears for any other movement. Time to save again.
Yo, Ash, you there?
No answer. If he's here, I've just missed him earlier. Already my feet are moving in search of him for a second time. Won't hurt to double check. Triple check, even. With how big the property is, he could be anywhere. If things ain't so urgent, if they ain't so dire that lives are at stake, I'd probably just waited for him to show up again.
But damn it! He needs to realize what exactly it is he's dealing with.
That is not just a petty criminal he can simply throw in jail. That it is something beyond the authority his police badge could ever give him. Guy needs to stop playing the big damn hero, sit down and chill. My breathing comes in short, shallow rasps by the time I make it back to where I started. Still no sign of him, and I'm beginning to think I'm just wasting my time here. But that's when I hear it. I recognize the melody in the heartbeat. Ma's favorite song. I listen for a while, trying to gauge where exactly from the house it's coming from. My feet stop moving before I can stop them. And there, as I circle a corner, from a room on the first floor, a single window's open, but I can't make out whoever's inside. However, I'm sure the singing comes from here. Still, while I'll hear an old tune here in all places, I do not know. It's not an obscure song by all means, but it is pretty rare to find someone who knows this. And for some reason, death seems to follow this song around. Panic lodges itself at the base of my throat at once. Whoever's humming might be... I don't want to be the pessimist now, but on the off chance that this is Mrs. White?
Shit.
I shouldn't just barge in there. I can put myself in danger before I can save anyone. Ash will tell me so in the exact same words. Might even write me a dissertation why this is a bad idea if he ain't so lazy. But damn it, god damn it! Someone could be in there. I mean, we've looked around, we haven't been able to find him. Both choices suck. But we're gonna go for the window. Go big or go home. I could search for Ash, but what if it's too late by then? With how big this place is, he could be anywhere, and it's very likely by the time we come back, someone's already bit the dust. The cries grow louder against my ear the longer I listen. Almost impossible to ignore, drawing me in like a moth to a flame. For a moment, I let myself shudder, shaky, the uneasy feeling off my head. This can't be a good idea. Not by a long shot. Still, I've got to try. Funnily enough, for a couple as high profile as the Wrights, they don't seem to have any security detail patrolling around. A few guards here and there, sure, but one will expect they'll have more considering the size of the place. Works to my advantage, though. I really can't complain when it's a high chance I might get arrested for what I'm about to do. Luckily, the window's wide enough for me to fit through without making any noise. There's certainly no going back now. But as soon as I step into the parlor, all of it ceases. Will I find no trace of the woman I heard crying like I'm expecting to? The room's still empty at this time of the morning, and I'm left standing awkwardly in the middle of the hush. Maybe she just hid somewhere?
Hello? Are you here? I heard someone earlier, and I'm here to help.
Hoping for an answer, I let the question hang in the air. Several seconds merely go by without a word, or the slightest movement to indicate that there is someone in there. Has been here. With the stories I've heard, the things I've seen, it takes great effort to keep my brain from going into that line of thought.
I'm not going to hurt you. If you're here, say something.
Nothing. Am I just hearing things? Nah, pretty sure I heard someone. But with no one responding, I can't help but feel silly like this. And the awareness that I've just trespassed a house for nothing because of some voice prickles me. Suddenly, the silence feels uncomfortable and a needling anxiety slowly creeps up my back. I should get out while I can. If it ain't there, it ain't there. I don't spare the room another glance when I walk back the way I came. Out into the window, leave before someone else notices.
I thought I heard a servant moving around here. Turns out it's just a rat scurrying about.
Oh, fuck.
How unpleasant.
My heart shoots up in my throat. I can run. The window's a few steps away. I should be able to escape. But instead, out of some foolish impulse, I turn around. Perhaps it's because the only impression the guy has left me with, what few times we met, is nothing but unsettling.
This ain't what you think it is.
You're quite the distance from the kitchen, I'm afraid. Perhaps I should lead you there.
That's a weird thing to say to an intruder.
Someone's in here before me. I wasn't here for what you're thinking. There was sobbing and...
First blow knocks the wind out of me, sending me heaving and crumbling to my knees. Tears well up in my eyes as the pain wells when he twists my wrist behind my back.
You've got to listen to me.
Then again, dirty thieves aren't welcome in my kitchen either.
For a moment, there is only silence and a sudden piercing ache, this time at the back of my head. I knew it! I knew this was what was going to happen. Both choices sucked. Both choices absolutely fucking sucked. The room above him tilts on its axis, dimming. On the verge of unconsciousness, I can only hear the scuffling of a foot, thud of the door being closed, and a woman crying, asking for help. And I know no more. Pain is the worst when I come to. A sharp piercing ache somewhere in the back of my head begging to be noticed. But it's nothing I can't handle. Blearily, I open my eyes expecting to be greeted by sunlight. Yep, I'm in jail. However, the walls that welcome me are unfamiliar. When everything comes into focus, I recognize the place for what it is. A cell. Dark, cramped, with the only light coming from the moon outside, streaming through a sole window barred by thick metal bars. Memory rushes back to me in sharp bursts. The mansion, looking for Ashton, a familiar tune, and a woman crying. And this is where I will die, folks. I will die in this jail cell, because the ghost girl will come at me. All while my head still aches from the hit I received.
Still better than a morgue, I guess.
Gingerly, I pull myself up, stretching the cramps from my shoulder as I do so, but stopping when a sudden movement induces an acute stinging pain right through my arm.
Damn, they got me good. What time is it?
As expected, they've taken everything I have on my person. Wallet, cell phone, my keys, meds, even a small pack of gum. Protocol is protocol. In the first place, ending back in another cell ain't in my agenda. First time was not a pleasant experience, and this certainly will not be one either. Considering who was likely to put me in here, it could be much worse. The bars are cold to my touch when I approach it, looking for the person on duty. They usually allow us to contact someone, and Ashton at least has to know I'm here. He'll be pissed. That I'm quite sure of, but he's the only one who can help prove my innocence and get me out. However much I don't want to rely on him for this. The hallway in front of the cell is empty, but voices float through from further in. Likely the poor officers assigned to late-night duty. Judging from the snippets of conversation I catch, today's topic over a snack is that moron who thought it's wise to cross their rights. They use other names too, most of which I'll like to have words with them about in the future. Racism is real, folks. But really, I'm in no position right now.
Excuse me? Anyone?
Silence.
Excuse me! I need to make a...
Blood freezes in my veins. My grip on the bar tightens. I don't dare turn around. Because more than the haunted melody, I'm afraid of what I'll see. Of who's singing Ma's lovely lullaby. A death song. That's what it is now. I guess that's what it's always been. If this is the end's calling, I prefer that it is not her vicious smile that I see last.
Oh, Zach, sweetie. Don't you love this song?
Hannah? My head snaps up in surprise, and I swivel to see Miss Wright. Miss Wright, of all people, sitting on the cot. Her smile is easy and sweet as ever.
Miss Wright? What are you... how did you...
I jostle the cell door to check. Prison break's the last thing on my mind, of course, but her presence here begs for a lot of puzzling questions to be answered. Locked tight. Was I just too groggy earlier that I didn't notice her?
Don't be surprised, darling. Money and power can get you anything.
Yeah, and she's got the necklace on her neck. Fuck. I'm dead. She has a point. Out of all people, she knows more than anyone how to play that game in the world. Yet to hear it straight out of her, it's like talking to a different person. I don't bring this up, however. Perhaps she's just having a bad day or a tiff with her husband. After the incident the other day at that party, well, I don't like gossip, but it won't be surprising. Anyone can say the strangest things when in a bad mood. Still and all.
You ain't supposed to be here, Miss Wright.
Why ever not? Isn't it comfortable here?
Well, it is, kind of. But you're still not supposed to be on this side of the cell. Besides, it's too early. Or too late for a visit. This is beyond the scheduled hours.
Oh, I'm sure Chief Inspector Lee wouldn't mind a little chat between friends.
Okay. I'm terrified. But let's see how this plays out. I still have a feeling that Zach dies in this cell.
Besides, his prison officers just snoring in the break room.
She brushes off a lock of hair from her shoulder, stands up, and meanders around the length of the cell, for whatever space it'll allow. As if this is just a simple stroll in the park, making a show of checking every scratch the past occupants of the room has left on its walls. Nevertheless, I try to make myself small against the corner. Any closer, and we'll be crossing each other's personal spaces. Frankly, that's more than I'm comfortable with.
Be that as it may, they have cameras here too. How are you going to explain that when they check?
That doesn't matter, dear.
It does. Your popularity ain't going to give you any kind of immunity from the law. I appreciate the visit, but I'd rather not see you get into trouble.
It makes a stop. Just as I'm starting to think I finally reasoned with her.
You don't want to get out of here.
I'm sorry, what?
Of course I do. But you don't have to do anything. It's my fault. I'll find a way out of this mess.
You did bring it to yourself.
Ooh, I don't like the look on her face.
This really is just a misunderstanding, Hannah. I didn't mean to trespass. If you'll just listen to the whole story, you'll know I didn't mean to do it.
I'm really disappointed in you.
Yep, nope, she's gonna kill him. She's going to kill him. I look straight at her, and at the sudden change in her tone, checking for any signs I've upset her with what I did. Of course you'd be. She has every right to be. After all that talk, the little attempts to build a friendship, here I went and broke into another person's house. Her home. On so many levels beyond any kind of friendship is still wrong. Her anger doesn't come as I'm expecting it to, however. Instead, she smiles. Yep. A horrid little smile I didn't think I'd ever see from her.
Breaking into our home, disturbing my love in his sleep. You've upset my Prince Zach. You've really upset him.
Oh, damn.
Hannah?
Panic swells in me, ripping up my spine. Irrational, I know. I shouldn't feel this way about anyone, you know. But here I am, backing away, trying to keep an ample distance between the two of us. I'm afraid. Wholly afraid of her. This ain't Hannah. Bars right out as soon as my shoulder hits it. A hindrance. Not to freedom, but to safety.
Has anyone ever told you how beautiful those eyes of yours are?
Oh, shit.
Nana? Occasionally my sister. Hannah? Are you alright?
She laughs. A deranged little thing coming from her. There's no cheer in it, no warmth. Only spite.
Makes me want to take them home, wrap them in those pretty ribbons I have in my vanity.
Oh, shit.
I'm pretty sure my prince would love it, don't you think, Zachary? A little gift from me.
Stay away from me!
She moves. Short, sudden bone crunching twitches that are too painful for me to watch. I want to look away, but I can't. I'm screaming for help before I know it, jolting the bars with as much force as I could.
Somebody! Get me out of here! Anyone, please!
Bugger off! Some people are trying to get some sleep here!
Yeah, well, there's a ghost lady that's gonna kill me, you asshole! Get your ass back here and do your damn job!
No! She's here! You've gotta let me out! She's gonna kill me! Someone! She's...
Oh, you poor thing. Don't you worry. You won't even feel the pain.
Fuck. Bad ending unlocked? Bad ending unlocked. You've unlocked a memory fragment. Oh,